Hey everybody, this is Kyle, aka Marine, and it is it's almost 1 a.m. on, I guess it'd be Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. I'm gonna wait like a minute or two for some people to get into chat. If you are in chat, welcome to chat. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're getting through this, finding some peace. For all the people who are being tortured and experimented on by electronic, cyber torture, um, aka targeting. I have something pretty important tonight. Hey, what's up, Steven? How are you doing, brother? Are you making it through this? I'm super tired. I kind of got it in my head, like I ran out of antibiotics, so my cheek kind of hurts again. And I'm like, I just got to make it till Friday. I'm like, I just got to make it till Friday and get that tooth out. But I wanted to. I have so much important information to get to. I really wanted to do a video on this. Um, and I prepared a couple of things to talk about this, guys. I prepared a couple of things to argue our points, because obviously this is happening. Like, people are being targeted, innocent people are being targeted and experimented on and gang stalked. And a huge channel made a video about it a year ago, right? Like that other channel made a video about it a year ago. This guy gets closer, but he starts saying some very, very dangerous individuals, and I see the narrative kind of spinning to where it's like, okay, people are being targeted, but it's really because the government and the military industrial complex, they know what they're doing. So they kind of surveil people, and just like they can pick out who's the bad guys and who's the good guys, and then torture them for the rest of their lives. You'll see it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and I want to kind of yell at it. Hey, Tanya. Tanya says, hello, Kyle. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's just hanging in there, having a good New Year so far. I'm having a very tired New Year's, and just like I want to get to the dentist and get my tooth out. Hey, Hannah. Hannah says, what up, party people? Steven says, yeah, I'm doing good. I feel you on the teeth. I've got 7 coming out on the 28th. And I just feel like it's like targeted individuals are going to have bad teeth, or some of them are, because they're going to microwave all that. Plus, I just think the remote neural manipulation, what they're doing to our brain and stuff like that, it makes us so unhealthy. And when your body's unhealthy, your teeth get really unhealthy. So they cost us like a ton of money in messed up teeth. And the tooth that I have is so messed up that it's like they just have to take it out. It's causing like a huge infection and hole in my jaw. Hey, Drunken Ninja, what's up, man? So let's just get to it. How many we got? That's good. That's good for now. It's pretty late. It's almost 1, and I kind of just want to go through this. I've got some things I wish. What I'm going to do, because I kind of just wanted to introduce y'all to this video. It's a huge channel, a really big channel. I want to show you guys something. I'm going to open up my tab so I can read y'all's comments. But this is from Some Ordinary Gamers, right? Big channel, 2.35 million subscribers. And I gave it a thumbs down. I guess I should give it a thumbs up. He's wrong about a lot of things. He's maybe the biggest channel that I've seen say it exists, but the way that he says it exists is very dangerous and not true. And it's not taking into account what this is all about, and I'll show you guys. We'll get to it. But I wanted to say this. I remember coming and looking at this video about 2 weeks ago, and I swear, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just misremembering, because that does happen, but I swear when I first saw this video, it had like 300,000 views. It had 300,000 views, or 200,000, like close to 300,000. And then I went to go look at it today to pull it up for this live stream, and it only has about 100,000 views. And the likes and dislike ratio didn't change. It was like almost 300,000 views. So I don't know if I'm misremembering it, but I just, because I just distinctly remember, oh, this has like almost 250,000 views. I've got to show this, right? Because the guy's got a 2.3 million subscriber channel. Most of his videos, he gets like 500,000 views, maybe a million. Some of them go viral, so he'll get like 5 million views. And then this one, all retarded individuals got, you know, it seems like it had more views, and then those views just got taken down. That number just got changed. I guess so it wouldn't be successful in the YouTube algorithm. But we're going to go through it, guys. Now I did pull up some evidence, right? Because he's saying, oh, you know, there's not a lot of evidence or whatever. But I didn't pull up too much. So what I'm going to do after I make this video, there's a lot of other really important information too. But I'm going to go through a lot of concrete information, like after this video, in subsequent live streams, like about the contractors, about the weapons, about Air Force Research Laboratory, talking about the weapons and human research. You know, I think what we have, just before I started, like there are a lot of smart people out there that could easily figure this out. And I know a lot of you guys will probably look at this video and you'll be like, well, this guy is just an agent. Like he's somebody in place, COINTELPRO, to speak about targeted individuals the wrong way, right? I kind of get the feeling that there's a lot of fear there, right? So this is a smart guy looking into a topic, but he doesn't want to say the wrong thing because he doesn't want to be targeted, right? So this topic for people is so scary that sometimes I think they think that they're covering the topic, but their fear is holding them back from understanding the truth, because the truth is in plain sight. Energy weapons that we didn't even know existed, like when we started getting attacked. You know, the Cuban embassy attacks, the China consulate attacks, the agents who were being hit by remote microwaves, the Indian soldiers in China, and many more, right, that are just out in mainstream media. However, you know, this was a year ago, so I'm thinking maybe this guy changed his views. Let me get to my page real quick so I can see y'all in chat. And we're going to go through this. And hey, Michael. Michael says, hi, Colin. Nice to be here. Hope you stay strong in our Lord and Savior. Now, I'm definitely strong in spirit, but my body and my brain are just so tired. So I'm trying to push through and kind of fix some things that I can fix. Yeah, Tanya says, my sister and I went to a bad dentist and also microwave weapons. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like the dentist this time, they were good dentists. They had nothing to do with like implanting people. That's just what it seemed like to me. But it's like you have the biggest percentage of good doctors out there who really don't know about this stuff. But then you got a compartmentalized percentage probably at every hospital that does planning, may not know the whole story, right? Hey, Jared. Jared says, good night, Kyle. I can't make it, man. I got to go to sleep. Well, thanks for stopping by, bro. I thought you were a moderator. Do you have like 2 accounts or something? Yeah, Tanya says, I'm so tired too. I'm beyond tired, guys. But I want to keep pushing, you know, I want to keep pushing good information out because we're getting close. You know, we're just getting closer and closer to, in the articles just before, and I'm going to get started, I promise. Like somebody sent me an article last night about people who they got CV, they got something that felt like CV, and then afterwards, after it was deemed that the CV was gone, they started getting psychotic episodes, like visions of them like hurting their children, or voices in the head and things like that. So what we've been saying this whole time, that what's happening to us is coming out in the pandemic, and it's coming out in places where there's rioting. You know, those people are being amped up, and in new biometrics too, right? In new zones in certain places that are getting heat signatures and using infrared, ultrasound and stuff like that to get signals off of people, signals off the brain, right? There's a whole infrastructure to do that. But the point is that what's happening to us as it's intertwined with everything going on in society. And that's very sad because people are just missing this whole topic, and it's probably what the underlying illness that will make everything else that's going on in the world, when the NW will make it a lot harder, because people's brains are going to be confused and more cognitively dissonant, even, you know, attack straight to the brain. And then have like civil unrest, which we're having a lot of civil unrest. Tomorrow, the Trump supporters are going to be in Washington. I'm a lot more not to do violence, but I'm worried about like the left or intelligence agencies in people to pretend to be conservatives and then starting violence. And then you've got to factor it in, right? Like we've been saying this for a long time. People don't, it's like it's too much, it's too science fiction or whatever. But if two massive groups of people, or a massive of activists, a massive group of rioters in the case of Oregon, are going up against the cops, they're going to be using like mind control on some of those big groups to cause more violence. So this is a very, very real thing, and it's not like when people talk, and we'll hear this guy talk about it, you know, he says target, it's a little group, right? It's not a little group. Like millions and millions of people all over the world are being targeted. Cities are being targeted because certain frequencies go out from microwave towers, certain frequencies go out from radar, where they can just blanket an area with a certain frequency, and it can affect those people. It can infect a large group of people. It can affect a community. It could have, you know, I don't know, an entire city. I believe it could, but that's something. It is speculative, you know. Hey, Arachno Nixon, everybody. Spoken Word says, anyone watch SHP's channel? I've watched a lot of. I really recommend it. I think they're on to something. I think they're really on to something with, you know, people hacking into our wireless network, collecting data. So you like say I'm well, it's a lot more. It's more complicated than this, but say I'm like microwaved. I'm remote microwave or whatever. Say it is Arcadis, you know, and other contractors get information about what the contractor doing it to me. They can hook into my wireless network, maybe even hook into biometrics part of me, right? Because we got nanotechnology, nanoparticulates, implants, those things, and they can collect data as this specific contractor. Other people, other universities, labs, telecommunications companies, and other contractors can collect on that experimentation, on that training, development, and research on that target individual, right? So it's not just like there's a lot of daring on what they're doing to our brains, right? When they're trying to create new lines of thought in our brain. Really, really, I was thinking about it. I had a doctor's appointment today. I had to stay up all night, but like as I was in the doctor's appointment, I had the V2K going, and they're like trying to push visuals in there, and I'm just like, this is the worst, most invasive brain experimentation like ever through the world, and it's like nobody even will talk about it. You know, it's getting better. It's getting better. We'll start the video. Let me put. Oh, really? DePlume says, smoking that strawberry vape. I got my unicorn right here. I want to give up vaping for New Year, but it's going to be tough. Yeah, Hannah says brain syndrome is relatable. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, Harry Dearly Love says crisis actors are probably going to be around that day. Things just so infiltrated, and there's people that are willing to do COINTELPRO, be informants, work with these programs for whatever reason. Maybe and we'll talk about that with the way that this guy, with the talks about targeting. I'll kind of explain why people who know that we're being targeted in microwave might still with this program, might still gang stalk, might still break into our homes, put toxins in our homes, might also might cyber agents might come online or wherever we gather and do really bad things to us and stuff like that, because bad in the not the government, because it's the military industrial complex, but I guess a lot of people are just like, oh, the government's targeting you. Military industrial complex is broken away from the government. It doesn't answer to the government because it has this word called national security. So if they can just say national security, they don't have to tell the government anything about what they're doing. The government just has to kind of funnel money into them, right? And lobbyists for directed energy weapons can get more money and just we got to put it on boats and it's got to hit missiles and stuff like that, right? Active denial and things like that, new weapons that they're just going to use overseas, but then they funnel that from that they're getting from like the lobbyists or not. I mean, they're getting influence, right? The lobbyists are getting influence from congressmen, energy weapon programs, and some of that money that Congress is putting into it, and a lot of it the taxpayers are putting into it, goes into torturing innocent citizens, right? Oh yeah, Drunken Ninja says I'm smoking on strawberry crack. It's healthier than vaping. Strawberry crack is really good. Spoken Word says plot about towers devices put in a town to send messages, telepathic messages in B2K. Are you thinking about the Outer Limits, episode? And I can't remember what it's called, but they had all these like basically 5G controlling it, and it could control the people within the town, right? So I feel like all those it's a lot of programming, a lot of predictive programming, and they're like, oh, well, this is so sci-fi. This is something from the Outer Limits, and when it's really happening, people just relate it to sci-fi movie. Anybody that thinks that's real is mentally ill, right? There's a lot of psyops and things like that. Are they halfway predictive programming it to get people used to the idea, and then halfway putting it in fantasy so that people can't believe that it's in the real world? Jesse says, when I saw this topic on SOG channel, I knew a lot more people know about this program than I thought, and this channel is really about gaming. Yeah, let's go ahead and watch it, guys. And how he talks about it isn't great. It's not great. Yeah, Hannah Havana says at least microwave weapons are coming out. Yeah, information about this is coming out. How we are going to be viewed in all this, because we're going to have to correct. Like, people aren't going to want to think that innocent citizens are being experimented on and tortured. They're just not going to want to think that. They're going to be like, okay, these agents were microwave, and Cuban embassy attack happened, and the China consulate attack happened, but these people, these saying they're being targeted, well, they must be really bad or something like that. I think that's what's coming up next. I hope not. I hope that people can just understand we're regular people. It has a lot more to do with experimentation. Now, the excuse is we've got to surveil dangerous people, right? We've got to surveil dangerous, and maybe DHS surveils a couple of dangerous people, maybe like 4%. But the rest, it's about experimentation, and they just say, yeah, we got to surveil dangerous people people to stop them from doing anything dangerous as an excuse, right, to people who don't know what's going on. Let's start listening to it. Yeah, Anya says, yes, we all need this program stop. Yes, so much. Arachno Nixon says, pre-programming is like boiling the frog, incremental exposure to concepts so they don't blow our minds when unleashed on the general public. Yeah, exactly. It's getting people used to it, but I think that there's a lot of angles to it where it's like exactly what you say, it's exactly what you say, but it's also like putting it in a fantasy venue, right? It's almost like doing a spell that's up on the screen, so that can't be in real life, right? And what I've learned, and I think what we've all learned, is that you know, reality is stranger than reality is way stranger than fiction, way stranger than fiction, and I think that needs to be, you know, common sense by now, by not just targeted individuals, but like everybody in the world. If they know that, you know, things like Event 201 take place, and then here pandemic, right? And there's a lot of angles to that that are just completely asymmetrical warfare on the population. We all know that, and the mainstream is just lying completely. Hey, Trueseer, what's up, man? How are you doing? Can I see if y'all are because I think I made Truth and Arachno Nixon. I can't see it on this thing. Maybe I can see it on this. Yeah, okay, I can see it on here. Yeah, let's start with this, guys. Y'all need to see this. Y'all need to see this, and what I'm hoping, I might do this some more, see what big channels are saying about targeted individuals, and then, you know, go through it. I've got a little bit of, you know, the evidence just to pop up. I wish I would have had time to do more, but I'll do more after this. Arguments down, right? We just talk about this, and then we all understand what to say when somebody's like, yeah, you just need to go get help first, right? I can't. I wish I could. Like, that's the thing that I want to tell people who are not targeted individuals. I wish I was schizophrenic. Like, they diagnosed me with first psychotic disorder, then they went down to schizophrenia when they talked to me, then they brought it down to delusional disorder when I'm making sense. What to diagnose me as, because this is a real situation. And the psychiatrist even said, and I've told you guys this, he said, a delusion doesn't mean that what you're saying doesn't exist. And I don't know, some definitions of delusion, it seems like that's the definition, but this psychiatrist said, delusion just means you have a belief that is not held by the main percent of the public. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he's nice and he just said that thing that didn't make sense. But the point is, they went down in diagnoses of severe mental illness because this is happening, making sense, and they couldn't really categorize me into any of those mental illness categories. So at the end, it had to be something very general that that covers even people who maybe have experienced something, but people just don't believe it. I mean, that's what he was telling me the definition of delusional disorder is. But let's check it out. It's at least, I mean, well, y'all see, and we'll look at some other stuff. Y'all will see. But it's a huge channel, which is a huge change, right? I mean, because like when I started making videos in like 2013, 2014, hold on one second. When I was making videos back like, you know, 2013, 2014, no million subscriber channels would ever talk about this. It's really interesting that they all took a crack at this, you know, a bunch of bigger channels, and I'm gonna try and pull up some other bigger channels that talked about target individuals. And it's very interesting how they talked about it. It's like it went instead it was all mental illness. Now they've got to start admitting and saying certain things, but then they're still trying to be like, oh, well, if you're targeted, small percentage of people in the world that are targeted, and they're really dangerous, or you had to have done something really bad. You're going to see this guy. You're going to see this guy say that. And that's complete BS, because they're taking out, they're saying, oh, surveillance and trying to keep people's mouths shut, right? And that's what the technology would be used. But it's not just that. It's training and research and development on the integrated weapon systems, the integrated weapons platforms, to streamline those things, to get their protocols, so the human operators can teach the automated systems how to work better, and the automated systems can teach the human operators how to work better, and a bunch of other stuff, and experimentation on the brain, mapping the brain, seeing what they can get people to do. Like, right, Robert Duncan talks about that a lot. We experience it. Can have what they can put signals to and from the brain, give you an impulse in your brain, to make you and manipulate your behavior. Yeah, my brain's not doing too well. I hope when I'll be able to think clear. DePlume says electronic sensitivity would be more accurate. LOL, and it's really not funny. Yeah, it's got to be something stronger than that. It's like electronic warfare, electronic war. I think even electronic harassment. You could just be like, well, I'm sensitive to electromagnetic fields, but this is direct. It's like, automated systems and human operators directly attacking people with electromagnetic frequencies. So it has to be something hardcore, like warfare, cyber torture. It has to have something like warfare torture in it, because I'm not just sensitive. I'm not even sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies. Like my computer and stuff like that, I don't get headaches around them. Like I have streams of energy going straight to my head, and then it's like after Jeff was killed, my attackers instantly started giving me these like hardcore migraines. I started wondering today. I was like, this is serious stuff. So these people saying this, I'm going to try and I want to be respectful of him, my video, and see that this is happening. It's going to be hard because like we're being murdered, and people who are maybe just comfortable in their home targeted yet. They're like, well, let's just ignore this, or let's just talk about it kind of discussion wise, and who really cares, and we won't take any action on it at all, or research it anymore. Let's just put it in one YouTube video because they're comfortable for now, right? That's what I'm seeing with people who are comfortable for now. World, they say, no, this really bad stuff, I don't want to believe it exists. I'm just going to deny that because I'm pretty comfortable right now. But for us, right, for me, a lot of you guys, I'm being murdered by microwave weapons, and it's not like I can just say, well, we just need to ignore the system, so much deceit in it, and let's just ignore it and kind of hang out because we're comfortable. That's what I see, and it's exactly top of the pyramid wants. It's for people to go, I'm okay, so I'll just take care of me, and then if a bunch of people are being murdered, that doesn't have anything to do with me. But that's not true, because it'll come to you eventually. Like this guy on No Ordinary Gamers, or More Ordinary, or I think it's Ordinary Gamers. I don't know. This channel, is it Ordinary Gamers? He's comfortable right now, but for him someday. They may target him and his family someday, and then he'll be really looking into the details, really studying it, So let's get it started. I babbled on too much. And I hope you guys can hear. Hold on, I gotta share the audio with you guys. Can't believe I remembered to do that. I'm surprised I remembered to do that. Share this audio. Then we'll go there. Okay. Yeah, True Serum says, God's my protector. Amen. Amen. Me too. God has given me a lot of strength in this. I've gone through hell, I think we've all gone through it. It's like even in the times where I couldn't find something perfect to make it all go away, right? God's given me the strength to get through it, and then he's massive miracles in there. And now it's like at this time, my brain and my body are depressed, and I'm like, going on so long, just is it going to end? Because people are so deceitful in society. It's like this can be in everybody's face is just like election fraud. People are just like, nah, we're just going to let y'all die. We know that it's happening, but we're just going to call you mentally ill so we can stay safe for a couple more years. I forgot my point on that. But my spirit inside, like, I'm trusting in God. I'm just going through a really time. So it's like that saying, right? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is just weak right now. But there's a lot of stuff coming up that can be a game. I know God's hand is in this. Sometimes it's just hard to believe because this is like everything that's coming down on America. Think about it. You got to think about it. What's happening with the right and the left, and what's going to happen on Inauguration Day or tomorrow. And then they're not going to have an inauguration ceremony because Joe Biden declared that people shouldn't come in because of the Wuhan wiggle. Dividing, it's getting America. America was already split down the middle, right? Left versus right, and it's been that way for a while. Heated argument, and oh, they're lying, and no, they're lying, and they're doing this, and Trump's a fascist, or Trump's Hitler, or whatever. Certain tactics, right? Intelligence agencies and the CIA have been doing this to countries forever, since the CIA was built. And now they're doing it. The intelligence agencies using the left and the right, they're taking down America, or they're trying to take down America. So you got this left versus right, that's been boiling up for a long time. Now it's getting to a critical mass. And that's the way people say, like, oh, we may be invaded by China, or we may be invaded by Russia. That would get all these people on the left and right saying, we're American and we need to stick together against that outside enemy. That's not what's going to happen. The country, they're going to try and destroy the country from the inside. It has to be done that way. That's how all massively strong, with strong people, it's those kind of countries, they can't be destroyed from outside forces and taken over, because it brings everybody together. So it would evil top of the pyramid, all their work in splitting the left and the right. It would, if China invaded, it would be done with, because we would look at people on the left and say, you're American, they're invaders, the Chinese are invaders, and we need to get together as Americans. That would happen. That would actually happen. People would put behind them a lot of the political rhetoric and stuff like that. So I don't think we'll be seeing that. Arachnonix says the great wiggling of 2020. Hey, Charles, man, how are you doing, brother? Charles said, really spoken. Maybe you're talking about something earlier. Started with this. So I've been, and we can talk. We can talk kind of afterwards.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar. A little bit of a serious tile.
You don't hear it?
This is no laugh.
I just sound check on that. Can you guys just, hey, Rose? Yeah, Steven says divide and conquer, exactly. Spoken word said, I was set up. Hey, Alan. Alan says, best TI chat. Hi, fam. Can you guys hear it when I start it? Arachnonix, and just say you can audio check. Spoken word said, I was set up by gang stalkers to help a guy who was claiming to be stuck in the snow. Used me to keep me outside long. Yeah. Like time wasters. Yeah, Hannah says they don't know. I wouldn't have believed it until it happened to me. How to reach the public? Well, we're doing that. We're doing that with small things too, but then bigger things are happening too. I think if you are a targeted individual, or you're a survivor torture, a survivor of electronic warfare, making a small YouTube video, you might not feel like you're doing anything, but we get ideas, and then that can kind of feed into bigger projects, I think, that are being more successful. I think bigger projects are going to start being more successful. And I want to work on the DTI thing. That's a huge thing that's like can prove this to doctors if we get ones that are honest. And I haven't gotten my second DTI. Asylum, that's awesome. That is awesome. I hope he can get there. I hope that he. I don't want him to come to America because they will they're already torturing him. Either England, either Britain is remote neural monitoring, remote neural manipulating him, and torturing him with remote microwaves. I think it's England. I don't. And it might be America. It might be America that's doing it. But one of those countries or both of those countries are sharing information about the remote neural monitoring and the remote microwave torture that they're doing to Julian Assange. If he goes to Mexico and gets asylum, I fear that these weapon systems, they can still target him there. And and if they, I don't know though, that my thinking on it is he's got much more information on these these targeting programs and what intelligence agencies are doing to their own right and never stopping the microwave torture. He's got that information. He has not released that stuff. So if they kill him, like, that will be released, so I don't think they can kill him. I think they can torture him, try and get information from him, maybe try and even, they've tried to vilify. Everybody knows he's a hero, but I don't think they're gonna. I hope they. I don't think they can. He become too big of a martyr. So I think he's safe from like being killed, but that can sometimes be worse. With these weapon systems, they can like more hellish than death. Yeah, Arachno Nixon says another thing I'm not thrilled with Trump's stance on Snowden. Yeah, he just says they're all, he says all those people are traitors because he wants to support the military. Yeah, but you can't support, deceit and terrorism coming from the people that are supposed to be protecting us. And it's like Julian Assange wasn't even the person who like hacked in and got information. He was just the journalist releasing it. It sets a precedent for any journalist who gets kind of whistleblower information and puts it out. Oh, they can be an enemy of every country now, because countries want to keep all of their dirty secrets, covered up. Let's start listening to this. I'll just be talking to you guys in chat all night.
Laughing matter, ladies and gentlemen. But today we're going to look into things like a little bit of a serious style video today. Now, this is no laughing matter, ladies and gentlemen, but today we're going to look into things like being a targeted individual and whether this whole thing is real.
It is.
Now,
it is real.
Been,
okay, so I just want to. He's been studying about it. I think he's going to say, what does he say, 2 weeks? This is real. Like, the people in my chat are being targeted. We're being targeted with weapons. It's not because, like, we're going to bring down the system because we've got the ultimate truth. We are special spiritually, but it's just like if you have a nervous system and you cross paths with somebody who has connections to these programs, you can be put in it and they'll start surveilling you in the bathroom, right? It's not important information, but it's more like harassment to stay on top of you, so that when they're doing the remote neural manipulation, that your brain's having to the trauma and the torture and the surveillance, right? Many angles that go into this, but it's very, very real. And it's going to miss is the experimentation angle, and also what people miss. They say this takes a lot of resources. Why would they? This is a infrastructure, a global infrastructure that makes money. It's probably the biggest industry in the world that is kept secret. Weapons, directed energy weapons, integrated directed energy weapon systems, other things, not just torturing people and doing monitoring, but other things that are being done with directed energy with energy companies. And me and another targeted individual, we're talking about how they use these pipes, correct pipes in certain construction and things like that. It's used for so many different things, right? This technology exists because it's just all around us. It's used in the consumer markets, medical markets, things like that, but people just can't connect it to, oh, it's something, they're doing something evil to people, so that part I can't accept. This guy's very smart. Like, this guy knows about stuff. He can study stuff and he can figure out the truth. So when I watch this video, and I do want to still be respectful of him just in case he sees this or somebody sends it to him or whatever. He's either, I don't want to call him, I don't want to call somebody a bad thing, but if you can study this stuff, you would see that it's true, and that would target fear there, to not want to believe that, to not want to believe that it's happening to innocent people, because you're like, oh, I'm an innocent, happened to me. There has to be that, or he is pushing a narrative and he knows that it's happening, but he is purposely pushing a narrative, because that exists. There are a lot of people that say, I'm going to be with the system, I'm going to work with the system, they're going to give me money, I'll protect it for a little while before they kill me and my family, I'll be protected for a little while these other people, their families are being killed, and I'll be protected for a little while before they lock me off, or or target me for my entire life. They're seeing this short-term safety as, oh, this will make me safe from, when it's not. It's buying like a little bit of time where you don't have to deal with it, right? People need to know that aren't dealing with this stuff, that it's come, this tyranny. We see it. Targeted individuals have been targeted for so long, and then what the military-industrial complex is tied to the globalists at the top said is, they said, well, we're getting away with this, and they really had this plan to go into the pandemic and everything, but the basic idea is horrible thing. Let's step it up a notch and let's start killing a lot more people, because we're killing a certain percentage. We want to grow percentage, right? Because then there becomes a money aspect where people are saying this takes a lot of resource, and they wouldn't put it. It's an industry where it's like millions and millions of dollars are being made off of just me through data collection from other contractors, from experimenting the brain and remote neural monitoring certain areas of the brain, connecting it with genetics and things like that. So it's not like, oh, they're using all these resources on me and it's just wasting them because they're just keep looking at me. No, they're collecting, like we're buffalo, and they're collecting all the parts, but it's really data from the brain, data from our behaviors, training for the human operators, training for gang stalkers, because they want to grow this stuff to become more and more. Hey, superhero says there are only two types of people: gang stalkers and true humans, aka targeted individuals. I'd agree with that. What Karen Stewart said is, she said, and I've thought about this a lot, and she's brilliant, and she encapsulated it. What this does, targeting programs, but just the way society is going, where you have mobs of people online that will just take somebody out if they say the wrong thing, the PC culture, gang stalking, remote microwaves, what it does is it turns the world and humanity into a predator-prey society, right? So you get the predators, and they hunt the prey, which we would be the prey, right? I mean, I feel like we become predators. We're going to hit them back, but that's the way it partitions society out. You had a famous, and I want to find this quote for the next live stream. You had this famous quote by this huge railroad baron, and it was like in 1930, I think, and he said it's on Dr. Eric Carlson's website. If you go to his website has a long name, I can't remember it right now, but on Dr. Eric Carlson's website, this rich railroad baron said, if you give me enough money to pay 50% of the population, I can get them to kill the other 50% of the population, right? So they were already thinking about, like, how do we turn people against each other? Well, you give them shiny toys, you give them money, you get people, and it's very important. And there's so many aspects, but you make them feel like, I need to take care of me and my family, and then everybody else, I can do whatever I need to anybody else, right? Because I need the money and stuff like that. It goes back to the tribe of monkeys that they introduced money into, and he started just becoming prostitutes, and the men monkey started becoming way more violent and got a violent, like, kind of mafia hierarchy. Money was introduced into a tribe of gorillas, right? And so what they're doing this to the human population, but they're doing it with novel technologies, cars, taking, money, 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 because money buys that stuff. Zeta Rex says, talented, empowered individuals always. That's great. Hey, MM says, I just got through watching that. Doesn't know damn near the entire system has been compromised from enemy influence, such as the terrorist watch list being ran by terrorists. Yeah, he's just thinking that the government, as he calls it, is doing the right thing. Like he has this premonition in it, or he has a supposition in his head that the government's doing the right thing, right? And that's what a lot of people who participate in these programs in any form, they're like, they're smart and they're getting bad guys, and that's not true. They're picking a lot of good people, a lot of children who are innocent, a lot of women who are innocent, who maybe just dated somebody like an ex-military person and then broke up with them or something. I've talked to a lot of target individual women, dated this ex-Marine, and then a week later I was getting V2K. It's like that's one of the most common things that I've ever heard, and then many other circumstances too.
3 weeks now. Started sending messages to a lot of people.
Okay, so he studied this for 3. Okay, let's keep going.
Trying to get in touch. Unfortunately, I was not successful with people who were claiming to be out there.
Listen, ordinary gamers, if you want to talk to somebody, I will come on your channel. I will come on your channel and try and explain it the best. What people who maybe are just like, oh yeah, target individuals are crazy. You have to understand, this is really complicated, and we're being hurt. Our brains are being hurt while we're trying to convey very complicated information to people who don't even want to know it, ain't it exactly right, will find some way to deny it and put it back on you because it's dangerous, right? So that's what we're dealing with. So you got to understand, I'm looking at all these target individuals and their testimonies, they're not kind of adding up. It's because this is messing with the brain. Frequencies to and messes with perceptions and there are different programs doing different things to the brain and the body, and different, they want to control motor on some target individuals, and do different forms of street fear than on some other targeted individuals. So it's all like different, and it's done like that. It's complicated on purpose, because what we have now in our systems of communication, right, on these social media platforms, we're talking to a friend or anything like that. The world has gotten more complicated, and what this does instinctually for people, they want to boil things down, right? Because things are so complicated, boil things down. And so as people are trying to boil things down in Occam's razor, right? Things are so complicated, we got to go to Occam's razor, right? Razor is completely incorrect. We live in a sci-fi world with a lot of weird things going on, a lot of technology and weaponry being held back by industrial complexes of every nation, which it always is. And this is common sense that people talk about, right? This is common sense. And I forgot my foot, but anyway, let's keep going on this. And right now, see right now, like, I'm being remote neural monitored, remote neural manipulated. That means I've got electromagnetic fields around my head, and then they're working specific directed energy to the brain, and then they can just stop my short-term. It's a part of your brain that comes from. So they can either stimulate parts of your brain, or they can interfere. And so they can interfere with my short-term memory. And what you use when you're speaking, you're using your short-term memory because you're remembering what you're going to say next. So all the time on these videos, I'll be going through a line of thought and then like that. So that's for non-target individuals. I know you targeted individuals understand that. Let's read this. So every day I live so this is from a targeted individual. Every day I live a miserable life because of how evil the U.S. government is. The FBI keeps molesting me with radio waves. As I'm typing this tweet, they are tickling my anus. I always hear loud sounds in my ears as well. It's a silent covert murder. Now, what I'd like to say is that's probably a real targeted individual. And people are like, your government's not doing this. This isn't the government. Like the military industrial complex, like the NSA, the CIA, the DOD, these have broken most of the things. Like, some of the things are connected to the government, and the government knows about them because they're not dangerous. It's not murdering citizens. But when they're experimenting on torturing citizens, they are going to they're not going to tell the government they're doing that. So I wouldn't consider that governmental activity. You know, I guess loose industrial complex is loosely connected to the government, but it can, when it says national security, it doesn't have to tell the government anything that it's doing. And that's what's to many innocent citizens being tortured. Children, for God's sake. Children factually, because any kind of scientific experiment or where they're doing research and development, they would have to use children. They would have to use babies in the womb for the type of experimentation they're doing, because they're just trying to get every personality, every age, every culture, every race, every type of brain, every different types of genetics and age. So factually, for them doing training, research, and development, scaling up the weapons, mapping, they have to be doing it to like 2-year-olds, and they have to be doing it to like children still in the womb. It's a fact, because that's how science works. That's how this evil science works. Like, no one that's a real scientist would ever do it, but they, in their delusional heads, they're like, yeah, we're scientists, and we got to test every age group in every culture in every race. So we're talking about kids, and these kids, like, we adults are trying to speak out about this, and maybe our parents don't believe this and stuff like that, but we can kind of fend for ourselves. If these kids go and tell their parents that, they get on medicine, their life screwed. Like, their life is screwed forever. And then, then before the time when they get old enough to where they can kind of get out on their own and start finding things out, aren't just being stuff by their parents or the doctors their parents take them to, their mind can be destroyed. Their life will be destroyed. And that's just one angle of evil, right? That's just one angle of evil. Yeah, DePlume says, I would think gamers would know the high-tech rules and would take more interest, but not sure. Well, this guy definitely did. So maybe more of them, Dennis K says, and hey, Dennis says, the only way this is going to stop is when funding for this stops or the program eats itself through greed. Well, the funding will never stop, and that's the problem, because these black project programs can just get money funneled in. The top, like these private banks can just make money so that they can do stuff, right? So that's probably not going to happen. But the deal is this is hopeful, Dennis. When enough people, sure, it has to end in the form that it's in. Now, these technologies may still be around. They may still be connecting people's brains to them to, connect to their smart house or whatever, and making a neuro society. But in the form of it's hidden and we're being intensely murdered and raped hours a day, the form of that will have to change, right, when enough people know about it. So it's really hopeful, and we're close. Like I said, we're on 10 or 15 yard line. When I'm feeling positive, I'm like, we're on like the 8 yard line. We need a good pass play, or we just need if we keep running it in, make short plays, we'll get there in time. Or like something really good, like a court case going through, or like Neil his effing job, that could just get us right in the end zone. And sorry about the football metaphor. I don't really like football. Yeah, and this stuff is coming out. Alan says, after time, other symptoms later came upon me. First V2K, R&M, electric jolts, now also feet, toes, backside, still chronic V2K. Yeah, me too, Alan. Yeah, and like I look back and I'm wondering, it seemed like I got the high pitched sound when the over targeting started. It felt like my head was going to explode. And then it's like I got the V2K 2 months later, and they were doing the high pitch, but it felt like my whole face was hot. Like my whole face was being covered. It felt like it was just this heat coming down, and I was getting the high pitched sound. So now I look back and I'm like, wow, that was a huge stream of energy just hitting my face. But at the time I was like, oh, well, this must just be sonics, right? I didn't know the introduction of things. I may have been being hit externally, but I wasn't aware that I should even be prepared for that. So, the body plays trick. The body and mind plays tricks, right? That's one of these people's biggest weapon is the mind is not trusted. in society. Like if anybody, this is a, well, let's not an individual video about this, but there's been conditioning that no one talks about that's so ingrained and just a part of our life. I just lost it. It's a very important thought. Is a really important, the mind not being trusted, right? If you're in your little niche, right, and you don't have a title like doctor or something, and you're not a specialist, and you're not just regurgitating facts that the propagandist and the mainstream media like dole out, then your thinking is questioned. And that's been something that the military-industrial complex and globalism has been preparing for a long time. For if people are outside the group, and I think natural part of humanity that if you think differently, you become marginalized, and people think you're a little bit kooky, right? Something natural that's always been in human, but then the military-industrial complex and globalists like take this stuff on a social engineering level and they extremize it or extremize for society, and they make it more if you have different thoughts or something weird's happening to you. The first thing that's done is your mental ability is questioned, not that something weird can be happening in society. And that has to be to I mean, for people to be good and for humanity to survive, it has to be flipped, and it has to be like, oh, we know a bunch of weird stuff's going on in society, so when somebody says something, we need to listen to that first, and then if we can't going on, then maybe something's maybe they have some kind of mental thing going on. But this has been going on so long.
A story of being hit by this, but unfortunately nobody wanted to come forward, or I guess nobody really read the messages or anything.
And where'd you put the messages? Like, I would have responded, please, like, if you see this video, Ordinary Gamers, I will come on your show and I will talk about this. We will talk about Dr. Robert Duncan. We'll talk about Dr. James Giordano. The thing is that this guy would not want to talk to me. He would want to talk to a targeted individual who hasn't looked anything up and is just like, doesn't really know how about it, right? They don't want anybody with a lot of concrete evidence, because then they're going to have to deal with that. They want to have their hypothesis and then get things that can like kind of not prove their hypothesis, because their hypothesis is wrong, but create it, so create that illusion that that's happening. Dennis says, I've been watching Horton lately a lot there to filter through, but she is definitely targeted, because when she shields, she could hear the little pings hitting the metal. Yeah, I watched her go through the whole beginning of her targeting. Dr. Horton is for real. Dr. Horton is like the real, like one of the real eyes that I know of, that I've never questioned. Even when all that stuff was happening, with Ramola, I was like, well, this is a psyop. Try and break us up. They try and make us paranoid of each other and get into fights, and they'll make somebody maybe pick a certain color. Like Ramola was saying, there was a lot of there's a lot of mimicking. Like Dr. Horton would use the same color coffee cup, but they can mind control Dr. Horton to pick up that color, and mind control Ramola D to pick up that color, and then Ramola's like, oh, well, that's mimicking, right? And this is very, very real. I mean, the brain, it's like sometimes they can even give me thoughts that's like, oh, well, I don't even know if that's me or them, especially when I'm very tired. When you're up, when you're a little, your brain's working better and you're healthy, it's like you can really tell what's them and what's you, But when you're years and years of it, it's like, oh. Okay. Tanya says, bring him onto your chat. Who? Tanya? Yeah, anybody can come into my chat and talk. We'll do some more panels like like later, but I just want to get through this information. We're not doing a panel tonight or anything.
Attempt of contact, which I can understand. I'm kind of terrible at that too. But looking into this, I wanted to cover this because these people were claiming to be targeted by the United or.
We got to clear that up, guys. I talked to other target individuals, and they're like, "This isn't the government. and it isn't the government. I agree with them. Like, you know, this is the military-industrial complex. You know, in the United States, the Pentagon and DARPA are the brainchild for it, and then you got this pyramidal web of contractors, of intelligence agencies, CIA, DIA, NSA, all the departments of the DoD, but compartmentalized parts within all of these that then contract out to the big contractors like Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Honeywell. Y'all know all those big contractors. We're going to be going through a bunch of them. I'm going to be putting out so much concrete information, you know, moving forward. I'm going to do it because I put out a bunch of information a while back, I think like a year ago, and I need to redo some of that, right? But it's this pyramidal web of like contractors and money and security industry specialists doing all this stuff. So, and most people in the government, they don't have a clear picture of what's going on. A lot of people in the government might know about DHS fusion centers and InfraGard, but they might not have the equation that the people that are being stalked and harassed are being microwaved. Now, some of them do. This is a compartmentalized thing. Remember, when you're dealing with a worldwide FF, that they're not doing it with everybody's, right? That's not how it works. Like, a small percentage of the compartmentalized people do have a bird's eye view, but then they just use levers and peer pressure and protocols for specialized jobs to keep people in line, and the people don't even know what they're doing. They work on a small piece of it. Like, I'll just take this for an example. You might have a doctor, and some doctors might know when they're doing implants that it will be used for microwave torture. Don't get me wrong. But I think most implants, you know, an intelligence agency or something like that will say, you know, we're just doing governmental tracking programs or whatever. Don't worry, it's not going to hurt anybody. And then the dentist does it without knowledge, right? The dentist is compartmentalized, or the doctor is compartmentalized in that. Really, my attackers are really blanking out my memory tonight. So give me a second. So I just wouldn't say it's. I mean, the DOJ is involved in a compartmentalized way. So certain, and then there's a directed energy intelligence committee in the Senate, but I doubt that they are told that humans are being experimented on, right? That's for like the directed energy stuff on gunboats and like systems and things like that. But I just wouldn't say it's government doing it. I'd say government gives the military industrial every country, their governments would funnel money into these black project programs, right? And our tax dollars would, but regular people in the government wouldn't. This intelligence that's happening. I question even, you know, because Donald Trump gets intelligence briefings. I guess, I hope to get in, right? But if Joe Biden gets in as president, he will get intelligence briefings. I would seriously doubt that in these intelligence briefings, yeah, and president, we've got these, you know, we're torturing these citizens and doing the brain mapping. DARPA's really got, you know, that technology, and the contractors doing a good job, and we're just picking a bunch of random people. You know, I doubt that the president gets briefed on that, right? So that's my point about this not really being government, right? It's a breakaway military-industrial complex that is shrouded itself in, we're doing everything for national security, right? And then they're going to destroy the country for national security and torture a bunch of people and do a bunch of other things, and they need to destroy the country for national security. To protect America, they're going to collapse it. See, you see how this works, right? They say it's the same thing with targeting, right? They're like, we got to protect people and communities, so we'll kill them. Everybody really scared and doing crazy things. And so it's like the opposite of what they're saying they're doing, or what they're told they're doing, right? I don't even know how it's happened, right? I don't even know how it's happened. I don't even know how that can happen, but it is. Hey, Prophecy, end of days. He says, when you take the prescription drugs like SSRIs, SSREs, antipsychotic, anti-anxiety, all those which are commonly given, more vulnerable and manageable, easily manipulated. Yes, some of them do. I've had problems, like I've tried to take antidepressants, but it's like my attackers were able to do more with those. But I found with lorazepam, they're not able to mess with that too much. In Neurontin, they're not able to mess with that. Certain medications they can. Because I mean, that the medications are changing the way that your serotonin's being uptaken. So it's putting more between neurons, right? More serotonin is going between neurons. And what our attackers do, I mean, they can attack at a neuronal level, and they can make you have a lot less serotonin. I mean, they can do frequency to the brain and affect the brain on what kind of chemicals it's putting out, right? And that's why a lot of us get way, way depressed over time. And even a lot of target individuals like feel suicidal. I don't feel suicidal. Something's wrong with me, I guess. Now, I mean, something's good's wrong with me. And I know a lot of you guys don't feel suicidal. I'm going to fight to the life is just too precious, Life is just too precious for this kind of evil, and I'm very angry at humanity and the way that they've used you guys in chat, obviously. I'm very, very angry. I'm very, very angry again. Like I wasn't angry for a while, I think, because I had that infection, and I was just like, oh, I just gotta move on. I can't even really feel my emotion. I don't know, so I'm just gonna try and just be neutral on. But I'm getting really angry again because the human race, it's like even people who aren't trying to be evil, who are living normal lives, they end up doing because they're going along with the system. Like if you're going along with the system, you're doing evil because the system wants to kill us all. It's a strong statement. How about I say it this way? Parts of the system, if they want to do something to you and data and destroy your life forever and make you look crazy to your family and make you not be able to get a job and stuff, they'll do it, and nobody has power to stop them. So then we get this guy, right? We get a guy who's like kind of scared to talk about this and go all the way and see that it's true, and he skews, right? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that he is completely COINTELPRO? He's putting out a false narrative on purpose. You guys think that, I guess y'all haven't seen the whole thing. Let's watch the whole thing. But I was going to say, or do you guys think that maybe he's somebody who did research this a little bit, and because he's smarter than me, he can figure this out. He can figure this out. And that's why I looked at some people who were saying that targeting was like, just demonic or something like that. Some of the bigger channels like a long time ago. And I said, this guy's smart. He doesn't believe that. For some reason but what reason is he saying that? Because this is actually happening, and it's not that hard to look at the Cuban embassy attacks, the agents and stuff like that. Well, if they are hitting high priority targets, right? If every country has technology to hit high priority targets like agents or the Cuban embassy workers, CIA agents posing as Cuban embassy workers, and probably some Canadian intelligence posing as Cuban embassy workers. If they're doing that on high profile targets, what did they start with that? Did they just hitting the most high profile people, or did they need to do training on people who maybe that society wouldn't listen to, who wouldn't be as influential, right? And we are influential. We're influential spiritually. I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from a secular world point. So everybody who's like, I am special, yes, you are special. And God's going to give you strength, and God knew you were going to be in this position. But the way that the world sees things when it pulls away from God, right? We gotta look at that, because that's our enemy. Our enemy is humanity that's completely pulled away from God. And then there's a even worse category of those who think that they are God. They want to play God, right? And that's what they're doing. That's why all these horrible things happen. It's because people turn their backs on God, and then they want to be God.
In this case, it could be any government out there, but specifically it was just the U.S. government.
No.
And they claim things like...
This is happening in every country in the world. To a certain extent, some smaller countries where the programs are smaller, less people are roped in, but it's happening in every country in the world. Well, we need to go through this. Keep
seeing people who are following them all the time around where they went, very, very, very specific vehicles that were always their homes, and at some points experiencing things like chronic pain because of government-induced torture devices that were being sent to their home.
So he's got that wrong because there's an infrastructure, right? There are ground weapons, but the main thing is microwave towers, satellite control microwave towers, over the horizon radar, Gwin towers, things that even run underground and emit electromagnetic frequencies, smart meters. They have infrastructure globally that can hit people remotely and target them and attack them remotely. So he's kind of doing this straw man where he's like, oh, that are sent to their home to make it sound silly, right? But it's not silly. It's humanity ending, where the military-industrial complex is connected to globalism, connected to Agenda 2030, have a whole grid of things that can actually emit directed energy, and have satellites that can pinpoint and have surveillance on somebody and pinpoint that directed energy on them, or create on the head or the body to do things to the brain and the nervous system in the body. It's much more, see, that tactic right there feels like it's on purpose, like a way to make it sound silly and mental illness. It torture devices that are sent to their homes. That's ridiculous. Like, I'm a target individual. I have to talk about ridiculous stuff that's true. That's a ridiculous straw man argument. I guess I'm not going to be able to stay, but I do know you're a smart guy. If somebody sends this to you, I hope they do. This is actually happening. I don't know what you did, because you seem like let's watch what he does on the wrap up.
I want to cover this because, unfortunately, this is half true.
No, it's all true.
This is something that I want.
If you wouldn't have said it the way that you said it because you got it wrong, it's very, very true. And innocent people are being tortured. They are being gang stalked. Let me just go to this real quick. If I can switch, we'll do it after. We'll do it after things.
Because we live in a day and age where this kind of can be brought forward and given some legitimacy to it. Now, I went on to a lot of these 4chan threads out there, just in the start of this targeted paranormal community was, or this targeted community. I'm saying paranormal because
no, it didn't start on 4chan. Before, like when AOL was the thing, before the internet, there were people being targeted who had to meet up physically or write each other letters or talk on the phone. So this phenomena did not start in 4chan. It wasn't just something made up by people who were bored. This is actually happening. I don't know why he would say that it started on 4chan. From his 3 weeks of research on this, where he should have been looking into James Giordano, Contractors, Dr. Robert Duncan, and everything like that, he's going to 4chan and just saying, oh yeah, it started here. This ridiculous. In 1952, Project Moonstruck, the CIA put implants in people and then shot to those implants to hurt them, to torture them. And then during MK Ultra, who knows what they were doing with electromagnetic frequencies. So from my understanding, just in America, it was like probably before 1952, but the first recorded thing was in 1952 when they started torturing people, started targeting people like that. And maybe you guys have more information on like earlier targeting. Says maybe he in the video couldn't say that information. I haven't seen the whole video. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he knows, but he's like feels like he say it, because then maybe he's trying to watch. You'll see how he twists it. You'll see how he twists it, and it's really dangerous for the innocent people and the innocent women who are being experimented on. It leaves us in a lurch, right? Because we're innocent citizens being targeted, and people deny it to many people, and y'all like, yeah, they're mentally ill. It takes more time for this to stop, for the murder to stop. And I am going to say murder. It's a murder for me. So if any of you guys, y'all like, man, maybe murder is too strong a word, Like I have to use those strong words for when they do it to you for decades, right? At least a decade with me, it becomes worse than murder because destroying your body and you're still walking around, right? So it's an unable rape and torture. Like, and I was telling somebody the other night, I was like, Ted Bundy is more merciful than these people microwaving us because at least he killed his victims. These people play with us, play with our brains, brain hobble us, and then we're still walking around. We still have to make money. We still have to with our family. It's even more horrific, than just murder, right? Yeah, DePlume says, I don't think anyone knows all the tech rules, so he's basing it off of the tech rules he knows, which is interesting, Kyle. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, but we know the basics, right? We know that, remote directed energy, right? We know that. We know that there are integrated directed energy weapon systems. We know that there's an infrastructure. We may not know everything that they use, like there's drones, there's microwave towers, there's over-the-horizon radar. That's why these things make this point. They're called integrated directed energy weapon systems because it integrates the infrastructure that they have directed energy, right? That's why they're called integrated direct, because it integrates radar, it integrates microwave towers, it integrates drone strikes with directed energy, and it integrates the surveillance. And it integrates a lot of the surveillance system through microwaves. That's why they're called integrated directed energy systems or integrated neuro weapon systems. That's why I'm going to put, because I know that we still in our community, or we still with targeted individuals who are speaking, still have this thing where it's like, well, we don't know who's doing it or how they're doing it. So I thought maybe a year ago I put a period on that, but I'm going to go ahead and again I'm going to do all the concrete information and all the contractors speaking their own words about this stuff and all the contracts for human research and everything like that, because and this is not an insult to anybody that's a target individual. I'm past trying to figure out who's doing it, or still some details I need on how they're doing it with the infrastructure, with the integrated directed energy weapon systems, using that infrastructure, and then ground weapons factored in and stuff like that. There's still some details to suss out, but I'm kind of past that, who or how, because they talk about it. The people doing it actually talk about it, right? The information is there. The information is on the internet. It's just not being put out on CNN nightly news, right? So we can grab the information. Even a lot of the information is available. Now it's going to be coming out more because these people doing it know it needs to come out, because it's becoming a big mess, everything else they're doing, and they need people to be willing to use these technologies, right? They need them to buy technologies to use and then infiltrate those technologies when they buy them, we can see the beginning of that with wireless earbuds. A wireless ear have a transceiver in it to pick up wireless energy, and that could create an electromagnetic field that affects the vestibular system and does send signals to the brain. Could be hacked into, right? So that sort of thing is going on where they want people to buy this equipment for their own mind.
On the X board, and immediately a lot of 4chaners just threw the fact out that that's schizophrenia. Leave it to 4chan to be that blunt there, right? But moving on forward.
Wait, they'd be a blunt, retarded uncle because that doesn't know about anything, because this is really happening. There is schizophrenia. I know a lot of targeted individuals are because this is happening, and V2K is a lot like schizophrenia. A lot of target, and schizophrenia never existed. It was always this technology. But no, there are imbalances in the brain. This is more complicated because there is mental illness. There is actual mental illness, but there is actual targeting. The reason why they target, an angle of why they target us and what feeds all this is they've got protocols for making people look mentally ill, right? So they had to look at history and stuff like that, and people who were really mentally ill, and say, that person's acting like this, their brain chemistry is like that. How can we take this normal person who could go along just fine and get a job and be good with their family? We need to make them look mentally ill, and we could try and make them mentally ill, right? By brain injury, brain hobbling, changing how their brain works and how the chemicals in their brain flow. I'm trying to find that information is very, very hidden. But there were a lot of scientists, like in the 1970s, that got a lot of awards for how to make a normal person look mentally ill. They've done study research on this. It's a big part of discrediting someone that they want to experiment on for a lifetime, and somebody that, while they're on them for a lifetime, feed them to DHS fusion centers and InfraGard, and community watch programs by the sheriff's department.
Everything around this, I recalled back to our deep web browsing series when I looked at a lot of things reminiscent of targeted individuals, their specific website. Went back onto them and noticed that there was a big community of these people out there, and they stick close very well. Like they are always around each other. They have Facebook gatherings.
The people who, like you guys in chat and me and people who are on Facebook and Twitter who are targeted individuals, I would say it's maybe like, this is highballing it, 20% of the targeted individuals in the world. Some people don't get V2K, and they get fears, and they get thoughts that probably aren't theirs, but they don't question it, and they just say, oh, these thoughts are mine, I've got tinnitus. Targeted it in different ways, and a lot of people don't speak out. And then you got people who are maybe hit by V2K. They know that contractor, security industry specialist under an intelligence agency or an arm of the DoD is targeting them, but they don't say anything because they're worried that if they speak out, their targeting could get worse, or they would just be called crazy and put into a mental institution, right? It's very hard to talk about these things, so we probably got about 20% of the people who speak out on this is probably the whole number. You got 80% more in the world who don't speak out, who are suffering in silence, literally, while being by integrated weapons platforms. These are integrated weapons platforms, guys. Integrated weapons platforms. These are high treasonous crimes. It's no joke. It's no joke. It's not just a little tap with electromagnetic energy. We're just going to do some biometrics on you. You'll be fine. No, this is meant to make us look crazy. It's meant to destroy our lives. And they want to see if they can do that, and they want to see how fast they can do it. And it's only just one angle of all this, right? It's only just of all this. Yeah, DePlume says sensors are not cool at this point. Yeah. Yeah. Rose says, Judge Judy, if he worked CIA, I would give him the time of day, but he is just a dude on YouTube who I never heard of. Yeah, and he has a lot of followers. I do that he literally was, I think that he went into this making a video about it, and he knows more about. He said what he thought would keep him safe while still covering the subject. It's a big leap forward from those channels that like 3 or 4 years ago were just saying we were mentally ill and would just show the gang stalking videos that target individuals made. It's a big step up, but this is so important for anybody who's like trying to say that this isn't happening or we're crazy. Your thoughts are so insane. No one would ever claim to have something like this done to them. It sucks for your life. If you try and tell anybody, that person thinks you're crazy. So it doesn't make a person feel important at all. It doesn't make me feel important. I mean, God that he thinks I'm this strong, but y'all get what I'm saying. It's not like oh, I'm so important in my life. The government, it's very embarrassing the things they do, especially the sexual assault with remote microwaves. Traumatizing. Changing the brain, changing the way you see the world and humanity. I mean, if humans can a percentage of humanity, like all over the world, can be murdered in front of their families. And if it's done a certain way where people are like, well, we just don't know about that yet, so it just doesn't exist. That's very scary. That's a very scary thing. And I think that the public just needs to catch up, with the high priest, there's enough information. We do have to use some speculation because there's going to be top secret information that they're not revealing, but we can put the pieces together from what they say, to know exactly what's happening, to know enough about exactly what's happening to be going in the right direction and find out more right information, right? That's the whole point. We can't know the exact, what does the integrated directed energy weapon system look like? I want to do a video on this. I saw like something that was supposed to be remote neural monitoring. So it was a guy walking around a gas station, I think. On the side, it had these little pictures of like MRIs, and then on the other side it had something, and people were passing it around saying like, is this remote, did we get it weapons platform, what they would have on their monitor? And I say that that's fake, because you have all those MRI things on the side of them, they're just still pictures, right? Like if they did have anything with like our brain activity, it would show where the brain activity is happening, part of the brain. And I do believe they have that. I believe on their monitors, what they're getting from remote neural monitoring, they have like, if I'm listening to music, they have like a kind of a picture of brain activity, right? And it'll show everything lighting up in the brain, right? So if I'm playing video, they see what part lights up in the brain. Or if I'm feeling really strong and something really inspired me, they see what part of the brain lights up, and that gives them, oh, well, we need to start there and we need to interfere with that part of the brain because that's giving them strength, or that's giving, you guys in the chat strength. So we got to focus, interfere with that part of the brain. And when they have an electromagnetic field, they're doing streams of energy to actually affect us at a neuronal level. They can definitely affect certain areas of the brain, like the speech center of your brain, your endocrine system, and everything like that. It makes me mad. I'm trying to be respectful because, like, I've watched some of his other videos. It just doesn't. He's not an evil guy, but I do think this was subconscious fear, the way that he talked about
whatever you want to call it. And it's a community of people who genuinely believe they're being targeted by the government and they're being hit with devices. Now, I looked into a lot of these devices, and one of the most prominent ones.
And this, you see it a lot in this video. I'll get it going again because it's a short video and we're only at 2 minutes. But simplifying it is a good way, right? So when you have people that want to say it's not true, they'll go like, yeah, that they think that the government's putting devices in there to watch them use the bathroom and just surveil them, but because they think they're the most important people in the world that are going to bring down all the evil in the world. Just weird, bizarre categories, right? They'll say bizarre words to talk about it and simplify it, and that makes it sound unbelievable. Right, and it's a tactic, whether it's subconscious or whether it's a conscious tactic uses. It's a tactic,
Seen is V2K, which is voice to skull. Now, voice to skull we've looked at before, and basically for the government to send specific thoughts into one's head.
So V2K is microwave hearing, and then a couple of other so that somebody hears voices in their head or their inner ear. Me, I hear V2K coming from this way, and some of it's just automated chatterbox. Some we've got to come up with terms for this. V2K doesn't cover all the mind control. Monitoring or remote neural manipulation, I think, are the best ways to describe it right now. The remote neural monitoring, with them being your attacker systems getting a signal from the brain. Remote neural manipulation would be pushing in thoughts, inner voice thoughts, and things like that. But then you've got like subliminal that can bubble up in your own inner voice, right? So you've got remote neural manipulation that can do that, and silent V2K that can do that. So it's kind of complicated. How do you But I would say V2K definitely does not cover like all of the different mind control stuff that's being done to us. I think remote neural manipulation would be better, you know.
Voices into your skull. So effectively what we call schizophrenia, a lot of these people will sit there and say, that's just another fancy for the government torturing an individual out there. See, all of it just leads to the idea of being targeted or gang stalked in this instance. And I'll be the first one to admit it, they have this form of being half right. And I've been saying half right the entire time.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, the big key thing
he's half right. And that's the inverted reality that we live in, this inverted humanity. You got a guy with millions of subscribers talking about something he studied 3 weeks, and like an expert, he's talking like an expert. He's talking like he knows it. He's talking definitively, right? That's why this is dangerous. This is why this is dangerous for guys. And I don't want to insult him, but a lot of YouTubers, they get on there, they talk about a subject that they maybe looked into to make a short YouTube video, and they speak with authority on it, and people are like, yeah, he's right, because he's smart, right? Me and you guys have been hit. Our brains have been churned around with remote neural manipulation, and the things that they're doing to our brains, signals to and from the brain, right? And if I'm like, oh, well, he's the one who's half wrong because it's actually happening. Oh, I don't have 1 million subscribers, right? So he's more right than me. And that's not the way it is, but that's the way they want it to be, right? That's the way they want it to be. This guy is like judging something that we've been going, a lot of you guys have been going through for more than 10 years. I've been going at least 10 years. I've been going through this, and he's saying like, I'm half right about my torture, about being tortured for that long. I'm not half right. And you're saying everything wrong. You're saying that we think that we're targeted by, he's generalizing what targeted individuals think by cherry picking maybe like one thing on Twitter or something that somebody said. It's ridiculous, you know.
I wanted to really look at with this targeted individual stuff. Well, we live in a day and age where everything you type, everything you post is archived, cataloged, and analyzed by a third party or your own government. And it's incredibly easy. Things like machine learning, artificial intelligence does the brunt of the work for us, cataloging every post that we do and filtering it out into specific blocks. These blocks then create profiles of every individual out.
This is an advertisement.
The RPG mobile hit of 2019.
Out there, and with this profile, we basically get viewed as individuals of certain dangers that are normal, so on and so forth. It's a way to individually tag out each person, a way to put people into an array or specific arrays and figure out which one is necessarily an evil or good or bad or whatever you want to call it. It's a way to filter out individuals into brackets, so to say. And
okay, so that happens too. What he's talking about, like when you get on the internet, certain things are flagged that you look at or whatever. That happens also, and people probably are picked to be targeted from that kind of thing. But then there's also just being around a person who has access to the program also. So he's saying, well, okay, this thing is true, and none of what they're saying is true because we know this, right? Yeah, we know this. We know that they do this, but it doesn't make all of this untrue, right? That's what. Oh, well, surveillance is kind of done like, he's right, surveillance is done like that, and it's done to send us weird advertisements and things like that's done also, but it doesn't take away that the targeting is actually happening to people, to innocent people. Because listen to this, listen to where he goes now. How he frames these, like they're half right. The surveillance is done through the internet, with metadata and all this crap. You're right about that, but the targeting untrue. You see, it's like smart people, and this, smart people can be fooled even more easier because they perceptually they're like, well, surveillance is like this, so what the targeted individuals are saying this way, but it's actually like so many different ways of surveillance in hurting people. that it's not just one thing. It can't be boiled down to like I got it. It's this one thing. And that's what I think everyone's having trouble with what's happening to the world. People things down, and things are really complicated. You can boil things down at the same time as knowing that the situation is complicated. You can do both. I'm going to talk about that on later videos. I feel like I kind of do that pretty well sometimes.
This is one that I think needs to really be a conspiracy. It's often things like the PRISM project, the PRISM tool that the United States government had, where they backdoored a lot of big.
Yeah, these are like a lot of these are out in the like Project PRISM and stuff like that. But when they're experimenting on citizens, which they could get into a lot of trouble for, do you think they're going to put all that information out like make an article saying, yeah, we're experimenting on citizens, and like these are the big manufacturers of the weapons, and these contractors are really good at actually, doing the torture. They're not going to say that. So that it's done in layers, right? They release this stuff about PRISM, they release this stuff about surveillance, and then everybody's happy. They're like, well, we got all the information, got all the information of all the lascivious stuff that the government's doing. But then there's more layers to it. You see how the New World Order kind of does a fakie? It's like, here's some information, and you figured it out. Give yourself a cookie. But then many, many other layers beyond that. So while people are dealing with these upper layers of like, oh, this is secretive, there's many, many, many more layers to go. I guess that's why people say, you go down the rabbit hole. And apparently that's like nowadays that means, something negative, like you've gone down the rabbit hole. Now you're just getting wrong information. But a lot of the things done for social engineering and transhumanism is the most important thing up at the top of the pyramid. Like taking their brain and putting it on a computer or something like that and living for forever. So then you think mapping and everything like that, that's an angle to that. So many different angles, right? So many different angles, because there's so much money in my number one thing that they've been waiting for. That the globalists, the top of the pyramid, the military-industrial complex, what a powerful weapon to directly send frequencies and receive frequencies from the brain, but to also torture people when you're doing it. The most important weapon that's ever existed. And they're going to take it. They're going to use it, right? They're going to take it. They're going to use it on people. Charles Hall says, if you take one brain, it's just like a program. When one program learns from another program, cross-correlate them together. Yeah, that's a good idea, man. That's a good idea. Hey, Ashley. Ashley says, no one can let it roll off all the time. We are able, we should. Yeah. Oh, Ashley says, anytime that we cannot feel frustration or anger or anxiety or sadness about what's doing to us, it is a win for us. Yeah, I've gotten very neutral on it, but I think it's weird, because as you go through this longer, you realize that remaining neutral and trying to separate yourself from your attackers is the best way, and even remaining neutral with gang stalkers is the best way too. But it's hard. Like if I was explaining it to me as like my over targeting started, say like the second year, say right when I found out that I was angry. I wanted to get them, right? I wanted to get them. I wanted to yell at these people. I wanted to convince them to not do it, that they would. It's like, as you go through it longer, you realize that that's like the most optimal way to have a more peaceful life and to actually get things done that can hurt these programs, that can hurt evil. But at the beginning, it's so hard. And I don't know, so much stuff has happened to me. I kind of question what's going on sometimes. Karen says, they put noise in my brain when trying to sleep. It doesn't scare me because God is, yeah, remember that too. And amen, that God is with us and he'll give us strength even if he can't stop it. We pray to him with everything, our spirit, everything, all the love we have, that you take this away from us, right? That you take this away from us. Take this target. But you know from the Bible and the story of Paul, Saul to Paul, that Paul had, and they don't say what it was in the Bible, affliction. Some people think it was his ear, like his ear was messed up and mutilated, and it constantly hurt him. And he begged God, take this away from me. Take this burden. I cannot deal with this burden. God needed him to have that burden, and he did take it away from him, right? So God's timing is not always our timing. You know. Hey, Slack, man. Slack. Hey, Kyle. How are you doing, brother? I hope you're doing okay, man. I hope you're hanging in there. Get closer to relief. And once I get this tooth out, hopefully I can. I'm gonna follow up on that brain resonance device, and I think it'll help us a lot. Like I'm very, very sure. I'm very, very confident about the thing that can actually change our brain resonance to whatever it be in. You know, if we add that with some other defenses, I think we'll be knocking it out. And then we've got to really somehow, and I don't know how we're going to do this. We got to do a lot of things, but one thing we got to do is we've got to somehow like talk to naval intelligence, or get some information out to help us with defenses and shielding and stuff like that. Also, we've got to get the torture stopped. That's a big one.
A lot of big data
God's going to have to do that.
Operating systems out there to spy on individuals. Governments like China are very, 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 very well known for actually targeting their users, whether blocking them from the internet and then also analyzing their data to see if nobody is against the current party dynamic. And you can
those poor people in China who are being targeted. Like I mean, we get treated really bad. But I guarantee you they get treated worse. Like they get treated worse, and I guarantee China, even if they do know that those people are being tortured, they're like, oh, the government has decided they are bad, and they are bad people, right? And I'm starting to see that in America because people are so scared and they don't want to admit this, so they're going to go through everything in the book. Oh, these people deserve it. They did some kind of crime. Because people want to trust their authority, because our authority figures have so much power. The military-industrial complex has so much power. The government has so much. The globalists, the CFR, has like unlimited power. We want to believe that they have good intentions for us, because if they don't, what do we do, right? Look at us. Look at us. They have so much power over us. They decided to experiment on us and murder us in front of our families and hurt our families too. In my case, they're hurting my family too. I know a lot of y'all's cases, or get families to actually do gang stalking to you. And then we're on YouTube trying to tell people about it, and they're like, hey, you're mentally ill because this topic is uncomfortable to me. With the founding fathers, like if somebody came up and said, hey, a redcoat just shot me in the back, and it's like a troop, it's like a big thing of redcoats up the way, and they'd be like, I don't want to get shot, and so that doesn't exist, right? No, they would have like healed the man, and they would have gone after those sons of bitches, those redcoats, right? We have redcoats in our country. They're the people that claim to be the intelligence agencies that are trying to protect us and things like that. They're redcoats. They're working for globalism, trying to take over and destroy our country. And this is true, no matter how crazy it sounds to anybody. As targeted individuals, we knew, because you can't torture and experiment on people and get data and make technology great, and then something great comes out of it. There will be a curse to that. I swear, it doesn't work. Yeah, Charles Hall says every one of us have the ability to learn anything. I agree, brother. The microwave brain, it's a little bit harder. Yeah, Tanya says, Kyle, warm salt water, mate. I'm taking vitamin C and zinc, and it's kind of helping. It's not helping as much as the antibiotics, but I think the antibiotics like with the infection. But now I just have muscle pain coming back, and then once I get the tooth out, it's going to be a whole new world. It's just I'm getting battle worn. I'm getting just battle worn on so many levels. Like even spiritually, like I trust in God, but my spirit is very weary. And I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that tonight. Charles says, if you understand programming, you will understand how this works. They take programs which are our brains and they link AI or blockchain to them. Yeah, exactly, Charles. That's a great comment that Charles just. So, Charles, how do you think that they link our brains up? Do you think if you're like if me and you started talking, do you think they'd link our brains up right away, or do they only do it in certain circumstances? Because I felt like that's happened to me. Like some of my talking to target individuals, I feel like they were like connecting our brain somehow, and we'd think of the same word at the same time and stuff like that. It was very bizarre. It's so bizarre that I don't even like talking about that, because I'm like, we as target individuals, I don't know everything, but we don't want to kind of know some of the worst stuff, because it's then like, what do we do? So even we, some of the very bad, like mind control and like actually linking your brain to somebody else, linking my attackers link their brain and make me feel different. Like I feel their emotions, which it feels like the woman has emotions, but the guy, and I was thinking this too. I was thinking, today I was like, well, I think there's like a man, and I'm kind of getting off the topic, but I was thinking there was a man and a operators all the time, and maybe 3 shifts or something like that. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, there may be only one shift where they have a shift where they put in manual stuff, but then the rest of the time during the day could be completely automated. It could be something like that. So I'm not necessarily certain that it's like, but I think about it, and they use a lot of brain to computer interface for the human operators to make me smell stuff like that. Seems to be a big part of my protocol. So I guess I would have at least 2 to 3 shifts, but it seems like two people. And today, what did they do today? I was coming back from my doctor's appointment, and I thought of something in my head. Oh, it was just clearly there was it was one of those situations, and I have them a lot, where it's like it couldn't have been AI, where I was thinking of a cartoon or something from when I was a little kid, and the dude said the name, and I couldn't remember the name of like one of these characters in the cartoon or something like that, and he said the name of it. He said the name. I didn't have it in my brain, like, because it was so long ago. And he said, he's like, oh, that's blah blah, and I go, oh my God, y'all, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, are y'all really still there? Like sometimes I'm hoping that it's all been automated, right? Like some of you guys, I think y'all got full automated, just the AI is doing its thing. You don't have human operators. It's not part of y'all's protocol, but a lot of you do, right? And I was just like, are y'all really still? I go, are y'all really still there? And the guy was like, yep, we're like still here, man. And I was like, that is so insane. And the woman goes, yeah, it is insane. Like it is, and maybe that was automated at that point. But when he said the name of that cartoon character from like 1980s or something like that, they do stuff like that all the time, where it can't be AI, where it's a human, doing that stuff. So there's a lot of that proving it. Oh, dude, Slack TI says the stuff I get at the weed store is beyond awesome. Gummies, tincture, BHO syringe, inhaler, and 30% THC flower. I wanted a weed store in Louisiana. I had a good friend who helped me out with some, and it really helped. Like, just some green, it messed with the mind control. Like I have to kind of do it by myself. If like I'm around people, probably it would make me anxious or whatever. But it's really good, and it really does affect the mind control. It really does. But for some people, it might make it worse. Yeah, Ashley says, Kathy O'Brien says smoking weed is not conducive to mind control, so I'm just trying to do my part. Judge Judy says, and thank you, Ashley. Judge Judy says, Kyle, do you still get the burning hamburger smell? No. sometimes I'll go out here, like it's maybe happened like once in 4 months. I'll go outside here next to these houses near my parking lot, and I'll smell it. But it'll be very, very occasionally. So it seems like whatever's going on with me, they've either found new toxins in me, or they got enough in me right now. Now I think that if I would, like if I started doing the cleansing protocol and I did it for a month, just straight up every day, Epsom salt bath, then I do my borax bath with green tea, the tea tree oils, and whatever, and I made apple cider vinegar, did it for a month, then there would be something. I'd either see chemtrails over me in my, because they want it. It's like they would be seeding all the targeted individuals and everybody in that area. But they do it because if they've got a targeted individual that they're making much money off of, they will fly chemtrails over you if you don't have enough crap in your body to make you a dirty circuit board. How does all that work? Like, I mean, how do they justify doing that within something else that, that they're just putting chemtrails up? I don't know. I don't get it, but it happens. It happens, right? They'll find a way to get more toxins in my system usually. But right now it seems like they must have the good level in me, because they're not trying to toxify anything. My food or drinks, I don't know. Yeah, Arachnid says, yeah, she's right about that. It's why Imboltra encouraged use of all drugs except weed for victims. Yeah, it helps me a lot. I want to, like, my parents live in Florida. Medical marijuana here where I'm at is legal, but they have no dispensaries or anybody to give it to the doctor, so you really can't get it. Like maybe in like a small percentage of circumstances, people can get it in Louisiana, but in Florida, it's really big. They have, dispensaries for medical marijuana and things like that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to like go to Florida to maybe get some. Charles Hall says, so if you think of something that sets off the next program to allow that heterodyne program's blockchain to send that tree of responses to your brain, it's credit. Okay, I kind of see what you're saying. Yeah, and DePlume says, I think they human trafficked us and are perverts, hence data dump. Yeah, definitely. Tanya, I really agree with that. Tanya says they are cooking our bodies and our brains. Karen, this is a guy from, Karen says, who's the guy in Kyle's stream pick? It's Ordinary Gamers. Some Ordinary Gamers. Okay, I'm reading my own. Some Ordinary Gamers video on targeted individuals. Already got 4 thumbs down? How do I get 4 thumbs down at like 2 in the, when I'm just showing a video? I get, maybe people don't like this. Well, thumbs down, whatever, it's YouTube. But some targeted individuals don't like when I'm showing videos of people saying the wrong thing. But it's important that we talk about it and we get our, not our arguments, but just we say it, because it's happening. And so we say it like it's happening, so it can give you guys ideas if you come up against these untruthful things that people are saying, or if they want to twist things, right? So it's very, very important. I know some of y'all are like, why are you showing anybody who's not saying the exact truth about this? It's very important, these bigger YouTubers and how they're talking about it, and then how we respond to those things. This has to come out. It's a reality of the world. So the faster that we can come up with, better ways to talk about this, which is tough because our brains are being microwaved, the better off we'll be, and the faster it'll come out.
Look at every major first world country and notice that there is an aspect of surveillance to it. You think the Japanese aren't spying on their civilians? You think the Russians aren't spying on their civilians? Everyone spies on their civilians. The Five Eyes Alliance, which I'm a part of, you being Canadian, actually is a lot of this data together. If you think any of the countries in the Five Eyes Alliance aren't spying on their citizens, I think you're incredibly wrong. And surveillance is always going. Ever since big terrorist events in the world, surveillance has to have become that big giant thing. It used to be a push.
But the problem with those terrorist events were mostly created by the people that wanted to enact those surveillance programs and even experimental torture, right? And things like that. So he's saying all these terrorism events, they got to have surveillance. There's bad guys out there. These events were FF. Then they took the power to like hurt and surveil innocent citizens, to do away with anybody who would go against evil power. So it's actually inverted that way. And then I want to say something else. DHS fusion centers, if they weren't just making up stuff about citizens, they would have nobody to go after. They would have no reason to get funding. So DHS fusion centers and InfraGard, unless they did parallel construction, made up crimes for targeted individuals and played into this whole thing where we're being experimented on and then gang stalked and everything, they would not get. They have to say, oh, there's all these dangerous people out there, and we've got to, surveil them. We've got to do vehicular surveillance on them and everything like that. All these dangerous people, if they don't have the proof of that, right? So another angle of this is when you're being microwaved, you might do something like kind of out of the ordinary. Gang stalker season, then it gives DHS fusion centers a justification to exist, right? And to keep surveilling and keep doing what they keep gang stalking, keep getting criminals to be informants and things like that. So it's a lot. You cannot simplify it. And we can simplify it. Like we're being attacked, we're being experimented on and gang stalked, but you can't simplify it in the ways that he's doing it because you become deceitful. Trying to simplify it to a level where it just sounds way more ridiculous than the actual reality. It sounds way ridiculous. The reality of it sounds ridiculous,
Point. But nowadays, it's almost shifted into the private enterprise doing it on us. Look at things like Amazon Alexa or the Google Assistant or, iPhones or Apple Siri. These virtual assistants, these voice assistants out there are constantly saving our voice data, uploading it to a server and processing a request. And I was kind of okay with that until I looked very deep into things like Amazon's Alexa devices. Did you remember the point where people had actually spoken to it and they were able to get voice data from other customers onto their Alexa devices or down to theirs? Ladies and gentlemen, if this data is being stored somewhere on a server, that is probably the definition of surveillance out there. Simply to make their software better, or are they using it to push us better ads or analyze each individual to a more intense degree of scrutiny? See, surveillance, I want to believe it or not.
He's right about that. All these companies are being used to surveil us even more, but it doesn't take away from that other layer, contractors and security specialists and subcontractors under intelligence agencies and the DoD doing this experiment, more intense scrutiny of a person and actually into their brain, and not only doing intense surveillance of the brain, but also pushing things because it's completely non-transparent, right? People see that their information is being stolen from Amazon, Google, Facebook, time, and they do nothing about it. They're like, yeah, they're getting all of our information. I'm getting an advertisement for something that I was like talking to my husband about or whatever. Oh, that's crazy stuff, but it's not that dangerous, right? Like people don't even do anything about that.
Things you post, the things you talk about, put you into a category of an individual.
In my case, it would be like my wife. I'd be telling my wife, but I was thinking of a woman saying that.
Want to be a part of. If you look up the word nuclear weapon way too much, or if you look up things like how to make a nuclear weapon.
Okay, now this is where like I feel like this guy is a bad guy. I feel like he's a bad guy and he's trying to twist it. He's trying to start the beginnings of this where they want it to go, so they don't have to deal with this.
Without having an intention to make one, congratulations. You've already signed a death warrant. If you keep doing that, truly say that you're a targeted individual. See, it's that reason why I say a lot of this stuff is a half-truth. These people have some. Unfortunately, the world we live in. Now, when
he's taking out, though, because there's more angles, he's thinking of just surveillance, just data collection, just surveilling a person. But he's taking out these crucial aspects, and Some Ordinary Games this to you. You're taking out the aspect of brain mapping, and trying to get and pushing people's belief systems from the brain, and also experimentation and scaling up integrated directed energy weapon systems, and also training research and development in the automated systems, and training AI to learn to think more like a human brain, because they're connecting AI systems up to our human brains, right? So there's all these aspects that you're not looking at. It's not just surveillance. It's not just, oh, surveillance. There are so many aspects of biometrics and things that they are gathering that are priceless to globalists, to the top of the pyramid, and to the military complex, where the resources that they spend to do it is nothing compared to what they're getting back. Nothing compared to what they're getting.
Looking into the toll targeted individual community, a lot of the people who say that there's a big amount of chronic pains, a lot of these symptoms, or a lot of these tools they like to point out, easily be correlated and put into parallel with common mental illnesses that we have already discovered in the world. It's very easy to say that these aren't mental illnesses and they're government tools, but you have to sort of think outside the box.
Did you hear what he just said? You hear what this guy just said? He said, you got to think. Now, you're thinking way inside the box, buddy, and I'm not sure why you're doing it, but you're like, we got to think outside the box and say everything's mental illness. That's thinking way inside of the box when these weapons exist and the people that are getting hit by them, and it's way more than aches and pains. It's like you feel your mind every day. Like, I'm kind of past, well, I'm still not past some of that. I have good days and bad days. It's way more than aches and pains. It's way more messing with the brain, messing with the personality, you know, hobbling the brain and stuff like that. And also depending on how much truth you want to tell. Like, if a person and you want to talk about this bad stuff, then you're going to get, you know, they really want to destroy you. They really want to make you ineffective, and that means destroying your brain. It means destroying your brain, your reputation, whatever. I've been pretty lucky on some things, but you know, he says you got to think outside the box. All this is mental illness. I've never heard something so ridiculous in my life. Like, and he says it like it's like a smart. He says it with all this confidence, like it's like, listen, guys, you got to think outside the box. Like, all this pain is just mental illness. I've never been so ridiculous. Hey, Nadia. Hold on one second, guys. I gotta get back to my chat. Arachnid, so this asshole reviews video games. How does that make him an authority on anything? He's not. I'm saying he's speaking like because he has so many subscribers, he's like speaking like he knows. He speaks with like a definitive, like, I know the answer after 3 weeks of study, right? He's that kind of guy. And that you can't do that with this topic. Yeah, right. Charles Hall says it does not make him worry. Exactly. But when okay, so I'm just saying that you think of somebody whose channel has 2.5 million viewers, right? And people listen to him. Like, they're an authority about video games, they're an authority about all these other things they like. Then they take on this topic and they speak with a definite, concrete confidence in what they're saying. It's influencing, right? It may not be an authority figure that's mandated to believe, but he influences people in how they think about this subject. So I'm talking about like that kind of authority, right? Different authority than like a policeman saying it or something like that. Hey, New Type says, hey, Kyle and all, Happy New Year. Thank you all for continuing to drop truth bombs on the false reality that has captured our people. They yet. Yeah. People are learning in society. It's not fast enough for us. We need them to learn faster. We need them to get up to like learn. You don't need neurolace to send signals to the brain and stuff like that. And it's the underlying illness to a lot of these problems. Article, Nadia sent me an article, and I think I'm just going to do a short video maybe tomorrow on it. And it's about like how to us is being brought out and used in these other big global FFs, right? certain angles of these FFs, and we've talked about that. So it's a underlying issue that needs to be fixed before anybody can think clearly about fixing anything, right? This is the big one. This is the big bad. Be corrected, because everything, people's brains won't be working right. People that think they're like, Tim Pool is like talking about left and right and stuff like that. Somebody who's an actual, like, really goes for the truth, high impact vlogs, like, he can't go into this territory, right? Because everybody will think he's crazy on his channel. It's like we're not getting to the underlying, the underlying cause of why everything's so bad in the world, and how the New World Order has power over everybody. It's like kryptonite to everybody. They don't want to get near that thing out for humanity to survive. You know, we can't let them get too far ahead on these technologies. They already are, you know. Amal says this guy is very corrupted Masonic and lack targeted individuals in his videos. Yeah, a lot of people, like there was a guy who was doing like a video for Jeff, and he was like, and I'm not talking about what these targeted individuals are talking about. And I was just like, how are you looking into the truth? Like, I mean, so in everybody's face, there are things like, there are things that's like where somebody doesn't shoot you with a gun with the bullet that comes out of it. There's electromagnetic frequencies that can really hurt the body. This is the new weapon. Quiet weapons for silent wars. Look up. I put her name in the chat. Deborah Tavares, right? Deborah Tavares. Yeah, Karen says we are up wickedness in high places, not flesh and blood. Yeah, I'd say the people up at the top of the pyramid are so spiritually wicked, but throughout using, you know, flesh and blood weapons. So, you know, God puts in my heart that we've got to do what we can in the physical earth, and then, you know, whatever His plan is, whenever Jesus comes back, whatever God's going to do, you know, that's just going to happen. But God puts it in my heart, we've got to deal with these things because women and children are being tortured, right? So we've got to get to the nitty gritty of weapons and people understanding they exist to save the lives of like women and children, and our own lives, those being targeted. So I know that a spiritual, we just need to let God take care. And I know that's not what you're saying, Karen, but it's just get me thinking about something else. Like they're just like, well, God's going to do it, but you gotta figure this. Like there are a lot of people out there who are spiritual, and they're like, we shouldn't focus on any of the. We should just let God handle it. But you got to understand, most of those people are like, we don't need to look into the details, and we just need to know that this reality is deceitful, and we just need to enjoy what we can. Mostly, and I know some targeted individuals do that, depending on the level of targeting and everything like that. But a lot of these people that say that, who are like not targeted, they live comfortable lives. They can go buy food, they have a job and everything like that. So they're saying, let's not focus on the details. That's dangerous, and it's exactly what the top of the pyramid wants, because they're coming for them. And when they get targeted with microwaves and the tyranny's coming for them, then they're going to be looking into the details of how to stop it. Now they're comfortable, so they don't need to worry about the details. Our society, without it knowing it, has been socially engineered in all these ways where people are coming up with a solution, like don't even bother about the details of the facts or whatever. And it's exactly what the top of the pyramid wants them to do. It wants them to say, let's just not knowing about any of this, and let's just wait for our turn, right? Let's wait for our turn for them to come for our families. You know, when the smart thing to do is have some energy and I'm comfortable and I'm not targeted yet, let me fight this because I have energy. But how it happens is when you're targeted and you're really tired, that's fighting this, right? And nobody healthy who's this isn't happening to is going to come in with all their energy and their health and you know start working against it. We're up against very, very well thought out evil. And I'm not trying to raise that evil up or anything. It's evil, and we need to beat it, and we need to fight it. But you need to know, you can't underestimate your opponent, right? You can't underestimate your opponent. These guys are idiots that are doing it. They're satanic. We need to know there's a lot of power in hiding directed energy weapons from the public, doing whatever you want to, and not even just a straight shot or zoning in on one person, but like frequencies that can cover communities or whole groups, whole mobs, right, or rioters, and can make them way more angry and do way more violent acts, which we had in Oregon. It's definitely happening in Oregon. That's so funny. Arachno Nixon says, then they came for the game reviewers and I said nothing. That's such a, I guess it's a poem. It's so true. Happening again, it's what's happening again. And this is happening to us, and people aren't, they're not speaking out, then it's just going to come for them. Hey, thank you, Honey Ann. Honey Ann says, just passing through to show support. I appreciate it. Charles says, when an electron is in a higher energy state, it amplifies the light. When an electron hits a higher energy state, it amplifies the light. Okay. Charles also says, light and EMF move an electron out of the ground state. And in some light is electromagnetic frequencies. So, like photonics, optogenetics. We need to do some videos on photonics and optogenetics, because I believe that a lot of the remote neural manipulation that I can't stop, that I haven't been able to stop, because I've been stop a lot of the intense stuff. I think it's being done with photonics, like with actually light. It's invisible light, and they can use invisible light within electromagnetic fields to actually manipulate neural networks in your brain, right? And if they have nanotechnology or nanoparticulates or even new technologies that go to the brain and can work as transceivers that can affect neural networks, they can use optogenetics to put visuals in somebody's head, make them feel whatever emotion they want them to feel. Y'all know we deal with the targeting. Hey, generation. Dennis says, as they develop their network, it seems to get louder and more intense. 20% of my neighborhood has never like that before. Yeah, they'll move people in your neighborhood. They'll move people in your neighborhood from other states and stuff like that. And I think it's like it makes it easier for those people to gang stalk you, because they don't live there. They can just move at any time, so it's not as personal for them. And they give people cars and stuff like that for doing this. Human tortured military operator says, am I the only one that knows very well that the entire U.S. military is encamped around me? No, they're encamped around everybody in the whole world. There's military bases in like every city, and the way that they've done underground dome bases like all over the tree, they can put them in certain spots where you wouldn't even know they're located. Everything has become so non-transparent that they're doing all this stuff that's not, you don't see the documentation for it, because it's like you got to have this level of clearance to even know about it. And so then the public's like, hey, none of that stuff's been proven, right? It's just your word. It's just you targeted individuals. It's just y'all's word. It's just the Cuban embassy attacks. It's just the China consulate. It's just James D. Adorno. It's just Dr. Robert Duncan. It's just Dr. Barry Trower. It's just Dr. Deborah Tavares. It's just the agents that were hit in Australia. It's just the agent that was hit in Moscow. It's just it's just all this evidence, but it's just y'all's word. Because some of it is top secret. Some of it we can't get our hands on. It's ridiculous, there are TIs that are saints, but there are also TIs on the other side of the aisle as well. But I'd say most TIs are saints. Well, we're just people. Because they're experimenting and torturing a wide range of people. We're a wide range of people, with different personalities and stuff. Okay, let's let this guy keep going. Yes, Ashley says I live in a tiny town, so it's very easy. Yeah, I'm not sure what y'all are talking about, but
and say who should really be a targeted individual. People like Snowden, who basically detail what the Prism Project really was, will always be a targeted individual for the rest of his life. The moment the United States government has the option to off him or arrest him, take that option to the end of the days. The only reason that man is still walking the earth is because he's sitting all the way out in Russia with the protection of Russian federal services, which I don't know is completely proven, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it is. I
just want to say I hate this guy's hair, like the way that it flips over. I don't like that.
That has to be how it is if he's going to survive against America. Individuals like Bin Laden or El Chapo or a lot of these criminal figures out there likely hurt the United States. If these tools were to exist, like voice to skull, or the ability to pinpoint wherever you are and kill you or put immense chronic pain onto an individual, would have been used against these individuals from the start. I mean, if these weapons exist, should they not be targeting the people out there that are really in the public limelight? People who are terrorists, people who are known terror financiers, people who are known criminals out there, people who have an actual agenda against the United States government in a very public sense, targeted first and foremost by targeted individuals.
Now, there's a couple of problems with that. If you publicly target a Bin Laden with microwave weapon, he has influence on all of his people, and he can get that information out. More people can know that these weapons exist, right? So they start out on citizens who do not have a lot of influence in society. Does not mean we're not special, but it just means we're not a politician or a movie star or a huge terrorist or something like that. We're just innocent citizens. Experimentation. He's taking out the experimentation part, the training, research, and development with the weapon systems that every country has experimented on since the country's inception, right? He's taken all that out and he's saying, why aren't these big? Why isn't Snowden being talked? Well, Snowden may be a monster. Snowden may be hit with remote microwave weapons, but he might not just be saying anything about it. Julian Assange is definitely being hit by remote microwave. The premise is false at the beginning, but even if it was true that none of these big terrorists are, and I'm not equating Snowden and Julian Assange to terrorists, they are heroes, but people he's talking about, it's false because we don't even know if they were targeted. You know, they may have been targeted in a certain way where they couldn't prove it to the people around them, but it's still got information from their brain. But they didn't know that it was happening, right? This is more complicated than he's making it out to be. And if they're going to go after big targets like agents and stuff like that, embassy workers, and this is the thing I'll say after, but they're going to do training and research and development on civilians who, maybe if they speak out, they won't do, right? Also, when he's saying there's a lot of criminal threats, like criminal threats in our nation, why aren't they going after those people? They hire those people. The more violent, the more amoral, they will hire those people to work against like regular citizens. So that's why they're not targeting big criminals. They need those big criminals to be informants or to actually participate in a lot of this stuff. Now, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do target some bigger terrorists and stuff like that with microwaves. It wouldn't just be, the news would not report on it like, oh, this person that is a supposed terrorist is being hit with microwaves. If that person talked about it to their group, that would probably be covered up. This is the thing. I mean, it's almost like this is pointless because like the information and the concrete data is already out there. Putin has said the country that wins the race with directed energy and mind control will be the strongest nation in the world, right? So we have leaders of our nation talking about directed energy weapons. So it's ridiculous that he's just saying all these things to lie about it. I don't know if he's doing it purposefully. I don't hate the guy. I was trying to, because I do maybe want him to see this video. Somebody send it to him. Somebody from his channel maybe just catches this accidentally or something like that. Okay, so Nadia says new type. Yes, Catherine Fitz is great. I recently found her. So Fitz. Now that's a good idea. You get a black light. If you're getting toxins pumped into your place, get a black light. I think James, I can't remember his last name, but they were New Year's live stream, James and Donna. James had mentioned that getting the black light because he had stuff rubbed all over his walls a long time ago, and he said get a black light. New Type says schizophrenia is an effect of our natural and artificially enhanced ability to interact with external electromagnetics. I don't know. I think there's like the brain just the chemical function gets messed up, you know, and they would have audible, like the auditory part of their brain may be screwed up and stuff like that. So that does happen. It does happen organically. You know, maybe it has something to do with exposure to EM. But I know that, like, in my case, in a lot of y'all's case, it's not schizophrenia. It's not like my brain just had a problem, a chemical imbalance. It's remote microwave attacks. Like, and I never even questioned my sanity once because the way that it happened was so intense. The ring in the ears was like killing me, and it just happened. It was one day, and I never questioned it. And the V2K, all these people say like, oh, V2K, it's shooting voice. I literally for like a year just thought I could hear people in the place above me or in the house next to me. Like I literally live by these people. We have brick walls, right? Walls. When I moved into that house, my neighbor had brick walls. I could hear him and his wife, right? Or I could hear the modulated voice that sounded like him and his wife. My hearing must have been so damaged from that high-pitched sound, I can hear through these brick walls. So you're not automatically going, oh, I'm being okay. Voices are being pumped in my head. You think all these other things, like, oh, I can just hear, or these walls must be really thin, or something like that. You go through. That should be proof to people who are non-targeted individuals that we're not mentally ill, because we're like, we're not even expecting this stuff. We don't even know what it is. You know, if I like I don't know, there's just it's not mental illness. It's hard to even make a scenario it could be mental illness for me, you know. New Type says 33 in chat or whatever when I look always. Now I see that a lot too. I see 33. I try not to make my you know, sometimes my videos will end at weird I see 11 a lot now. I see 47 a lot. Nadia says, through that first word, part of a group of people making a movie called Planet Lockdown coming out mid-January. Okay. Planet. So many people that were not like, yeah, James Lyko, actually, that's him. He said, get a black light, all that stuff off the wall. Yeah, I agree, Karen. Karen says new typical of most everything, but this genetic dysfunction results of centuries of inbreeding. And the people up at the top of the pyramid, and I think there has been inbreeding and retard. They're not connected to us. They don't think they're the same thing. Like they may have some different genetics, because I believe they're spiritual wicked, but I believe there's a scientific thing to that, to something being above us in the food chain. In this dimension or out of it, would just be like we can't see it, not necessarily in another dimension like you're thinking about it, but just something not in the frequency band. So yeah, there has been, and the problem is that they have instilled further down into people that they're not like us either. Like they're told that they're the new men, right? They're the the true man, and then all these other people are cattle, right? So they pass down that inbred belief that they're above human and they can do anything they want to us. And this is a true thing. People need to be aware of it.
Services out there. It's very easy to say, who simply search up something wrong once in a while, claim to be targeted, is a little bit too out there for me. I'm not saying that you're not important, but being targeted individual that looked up things like 9/11 conspiracies one too many times, we all have. All right, we've all looked.
So once again, he's taking out the aspect of research and development with integrated directed energy weapon systems and experimentation on the brain, on the body. What can they get people to do? And he's taking out the element of they want people who are not very important, who would maybe, it's like, why would they be targeting you? You're not haven't done anything bad. Why would they micro? Exactly, that's what they want. And that's why they target a lot of good people who haven't done anything, who maybe smoke weed or drink too much, blah. They pick those people because they can be discredited for smoking weed or drinking or whatever. If they haven't done any violent crimes, then it's like, oh, they target you, you're not dangerous, right? So he's saying dangerous people are targeted by taking out the element of training development with these weapon systems and experimentation on the brain to, and I'm not saying we're not important, guys. I'm just talking in the secular, to influential in society so that they can't get help and it can go on longer, the experimentation can go on longer. You see what has happened, and I'm just speaking directly to this guy. He may not even see this, guys, but probably will not see this. But if they started hitting really big terrorists first off, or agents started being hit, you see what's happening now. Cuban embassy attacks, the CIA agents speaking out, the agents that went from Australia to and were still hit, they're speaking out. The information about the weapons are coming out, that it's remote microwaves at the very least. They need to start directed energy, integrated directed energy weapon systems. But if they did that first, it would have all came out really fast, right? And so that are targeting globally, kind of not normal people, because all people are special and all people are God, but people who just, if they are hit, they don't have a lot of power in society to get that information out, right? Y'all get what I'm saying, right? Yeah, Karen says, new type, they give me noises in the brain at times. Have no fear, God is with you. Yeah. Okay, so Tanya says, Catherine Austin Fitz, Truth Matters, Planet Lockdown. Okay. No, I'm not saying, well, so new type says chemical imbalance in our brain would create more of a white noise if it was just background electrical activity in the brain, I think, and not voices or discernible sounds. And I'm not saying have a chemical imbalance in our brain. We probably, our brain is affected by, being hit by microwaves and stuff like that. But no, there are people where it's organic, and then there can be, and this might be in the same case, the same person or different, where there is with the auditory part of your brain where you do hear voices, but it wouldn't be like military people going, this is crazy, blah blah. It'd be like, and it'd come into like demonic voices or whatever that person had in their imagination, right? So that it does actually happen. And maybe we need to study, well, I don't want to say that right now, but I was just thinking, maybe we do need to study like actual organic mental illness, because they are trying to mimic that with us. That's an angle of it, trying to mimic or schizophrenic or delusional or psychopathic, right? When you're being hit with microwaves and you're angry, they want to make you look like you're like a psycho. But I do believe, and we can talk about that more, because I know a lot of TIs do not believe. Maybe the thumbs down came from, because I know a lot of TIs don't believe that mental illness is actually but I think it is because you had a lot of scientists in the 70s who were tasked and got awards for how do we make normal people look mentally ill with technology, right? With sleep deprivation, with certain torture tactics, but then knowing that they had this whole array of technology to use, and building up the infrastructure around the globe since after World War II. I mean, they knew when they created the DSM, psychologists and psychiatrists, and they were part of the military-industrial complex. They created the DSM, and they already had these programs in mind. I don't think they knew like scale it up in it, but they knew that they were going to be testing these technologies and implants on people. When they wrote the DSM, they wrote the DSM specifically in mind them, or they're being hit with like heat beams or something like that. They're mentally ill, right? And they knew they were going to do that to people. They knew they were going to. Newstype says Boris Johnson spoke very differently before he quarantined for his CV. When he came, he spoke different. He talked about nanobots and how Google will read your brain. I think I saw that. I wonder. I don't know if I put it up on my channel. Yeah, you know, a lot of these people are being messed with. Like people in high places now, like because they've done a lot of training, research, and development on the population. Now that you're going to see more high profile, because this is what I think. I think that like the people in charge, the globalists in charge, these programs are going to have to end soon because they want to do something else with this technology. And so they're like, well, now we can just start hitting a bunch of politicians and other people. And if it comes out, right, they're going to try and get it out in the way that they want to. But I think they're saying, you know, oh, it's kind of time for this, which is great if it ends. I don't know, you know, I want the truth to come out, the complete truth of how this is happening and who it's happening to, and be vindicated and get justice. But, you know, let's just get it to stop. And even if it's from up top, they're deciding to stop it. I'm like, yeah, if it stops, that's great. And we need to push the whole thing. That's just one thing. We need to be doing a whole bunch of other stuff too, you know. Yeah, DePlume says, yes, people are targeted. Exploit the data. Yeah, definitely, DePlume. Definitely. They're collecting so much data on our brain, on our reactions, our beliefs, on our DNA as compared to our brain activity. That's why a lot of targeted individuals, not for me, they haven't done this, but that I know of, but for a lot of targeted individuals, they'll dig through their trash, right? And I think that's a way to get the unique brainwave signature, but your unique brain signature is the same signature as your DNA. So some targeted individuals, there may be a collection of fever and urine and stuff like that on a regular basis because they're my attacker's just wiping my brain, but because they're seeing how the DNA influences brain activity. Right. Then you get this the jab, right? The wax that, you know, the mRNA, the RNA that can change DNA, and you just wonder what they're doing and how that's going to affect the mind. I'd say as targeted individuals, we know that a vaccine that took a year to make is there's something up with that, and it's something nefarious. We know it, and then there's proof coming out of that nurse that like disappeared and stuff like that, and now the hospital lawyers are taking care of it. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, Arachnid says I've caught them digging through my trash several times. What I think is that like they may have collected something from me to get my unique brainwave signature when they were targeting me or whatever, but I'm not sure when the targeting started. I know when the over-targeting started, but I think in certain protocols, it's a collection of something with your DNA in it. Every once in a while, you'll have that because they're connecting how your DNA is functioning to your brain activity, right? They may collect. They did it first. Yeah. Yeah. New Type says, I believe all those people in any position of influence are being RNN. there was talk about how Hitler's mentored, and that's how they were able to do the horrible things they did. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's going on a lot more than even we think. You know, and I think that it's like just it's being used in so many different situations. It's not. We need to stop saying targeted individual community. This is a topic about integrated directed energy weapon systems and like utilizing the electromagnetic frequencies of the earth to do huge things, but also like using mind control situations, you know, like in many different FFs that are going on right now. And then I'm going to show you all an article that Nadia sent me like very soon, and y'all will see. And I'm not sure exactly how it all connects in, but you'll see that it connects in. Bloom says, even if a few people were mentally ill and from a great family, then it is still a liability and should not be repressed, although they would not be aware people. Yeah. Well, the whole thing about these programs is it's supposed to mix in with normal stuff that's going on. So take gang stalking, right? People that are just weird people, and they're not gang stalking us, but since we are being gang stalked and people do like literally walk out at the same time or walk around, call you weird names, like a different name every time they see you, to like the maintenance guy will call me like, hey Tim. He knows my name. He knows my name. He knows my parents. Like he's called me the right name, but he just does it to show that like I'm a piece of crap or whatever. They had today. I was getting vehicular stalking. I get a vehicular stalk by a lot of different cars, but one thing they've always kind of kept up is they do the exterminator. In this aero extermination, they want to get those cars around me. So anytime I cross the way at a light or ride me, and it's this little thing, it's like you're a pest. They're trying to tell me you're a pest and we're going to exterminate you, right? That's the psychological thing. I was thinking about it today, and I was like, man, all these people that I've helped and I've gotten through all this, and like screw these gang stalkers who don't know crap. Like I don't feel sorry for nothing. You know, they're nothing. Calling somebody who's like, and all you guys calling us pests when we're fighting something that's the hardest thing any human being's ever fought. When you start seeing ourselves in the right way too, this world and these people make us feel a certain way because you may logically have it in your head that like you're experiencing this and you're strong and everything like that. But when somebody like treats you really bad all the time, it's almost like you got that logic there that this person is wrong. But your emotions experience it, right? It hurts. It hurts in a different way that it's like you can't always help. So we need to work on that, man. These people can't bring us down. They're the ones that are pieces of crap. Let's finish this up, and then I'll come back to the chat. It's like 3:25. How long have we been going, guys?
All right, we've all done the most we can. You might run a website that talks about chemtrails every once or so often, but that's not enough to make you targeted. Let me tell you something. Targeting an individual requires a sum of money, requires a certain body to be put on somebody else. There are not enough resources to go around to target every single individual. So,
okay, that's completely false. And not everyone is targeted in the world, but he just said what was completely false. There's not limited resources. Money. It's an industry. There's a global infrastructure. DHS fusion centers, money is funneled into them. Money is funneled into InfraGard, funneled into intelligence agencies, tax dollars. The government sends in money. There's money that's created by private banks to send into black projects, going along with what the top of the pyramid wants them to do. This makes so much money. So what he said is the opposite. There's not to go around. When the military industrial complex is working on mind control and being able to make people believe or do things that they want them to, they're bearing any expense and they make the money anyway. So it's not what he says. There's not enough resources to get on one person. It's an infrastructure, and you're being gang stalked, especially vehicular stalking in your place. Maybe there might be other targeted individuals that are getting gang stalked on foot, but especially with stalking, those vehicular stalkers are vehicularly stalking TIs in the area, and they see you on a GPS and stalk you, but they're patrolling the entire area. So when he's like, oh, and they just put all these people on you, it's not worked that way. It's an infrastructure in the system that keeps going, and then when you go out, those gang stalkers will come your way because you're on GPS. But then when you're not out there, stalking still going on to target individuals that are out in the city, right? So what this guy said was completely untrue, and he smiled after, was so happy with himself, and that is the biggest straw man argument. Why would they pick on little? They don't have enough resources. No, this whole system of gang stalking and experimentation on the brain and hitting people with remote microwaves, it makes so much money, and it's the most important thing for transhumanism, mind control, and putting a bunch of crap into people so that we become dirty circuit boards and can accept electromagnetic frequencies, like artificial electromagnetic frequencies. So it's just, why is he so happy? He just said, this is crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy smart. He's really smart. I've seen him talk about other stuff. This is insane. Like, if he actually is saying these things and believes them, there's something where he, like, you know, some of you guys may think he's an agent. I think there's something that, like, he thinks that it's like this subconscious thing that he's scared to talk about this, so he researched it wrong, and it's like his subconscious mind is controlling how stupid he's talking about this, but he thinks he's being smart about it. Like, I think it's such cognitive dissonance from a very intelligent person that just cannot say the truth about this. Or maybe, I just hate saying that about somebody who I'm trying to show respect to. Just one thing, he has a black shirt on with a Puma. It's a Puma shirt. I was just thinking Black Panthers. You know, maybe that, am I reaching too far on that? Maybe I'm reaching too far on that. We know they like to do this symbolism, and maybe he is COINTELPRO. Maybe he does his little YouTube channel, and then they're like, hey, we need you to do a video on this targeting stuff. It's coming out, but we need you to kind of twist it. I'm paranoid at this point. I don't trust a lot of people, but yeah, I do. From his not wanting to believe this, it pointed him in directions that were wrong, and it's scary to see such a smart guy. And my brother is smarter than me. That's not saying much, but my brother's so smart, and him just in my and like, I don't believe one word about that stuff you're talking about is so scary, because he knows every subject. Like, he's just so intelligent on the world, politics and everything like that, that this is just so sci-fi. And I mean, it's like, that's the way they wanted it to be, right? They were like, you know, if we tell people it's mental illness, they'll believe it's mental illness, smart or dumb or whatever. If they're not targeted, we tell them what to believe. You know, we're being told, you know, or they're being told what to believe. We're a little bit kind of jacked up and shot out and marginalized out of the system, kind of looking at it and going, we're not going to believe anything that authority says, right? But it's very scary to see really smart people who they're told what to believe, and then they believe that because they're like, oh yeah, authority must be good. The government must be good. It's not going to fit. And then listen to the ending.
So no, because you run a website that simply speaks the truth, or you've posted something a little edgy once in a while.
And he's just taking out experimentation, training, research, and development with integrated directed energy weapon systems, with integrated neuro weapon systems, and it's experimentation of the brain, right? So they're making a lot of money collecting this data, huge brain experimentation, like extensive experimentation of my brain 24 hours a day as I'm walking around. And he's like, oh, you did put something out on YouTube that's a little bit edgy, and then maybe no. There's a whole other world to this, to people being targeted, that he's like leaving out. That it makes money. It's not it eats up like a little smidge. It pays like a citizen, or I wouldn't call him a citizen, a terror. It pays a terrorist, I guess a citizen terrorist, supplemental income to, you know, do vehicular stalking or whatever. But the money that they're making off of the brain mapping and developing the AI, training, research, and development on training human operators to work the automated systems, and the automated systems working easier with the human operators with brain to computer interfaces He's leaving out everything. It's just like, oh, why would they want to surveil you? No, this targeting has a whole lot more to do with experimentation and scaling systems than it does like trying to stop people who are like dangerous in society.
Well, they're
has
not going to
nothing to do
target
with
you
that.
like crazy.
They get the dangerous people.
Pretty
they get the dangerous people to work for them, because immoral people who are dangerous are the only people who are going to be informants against innocent citizens. And I don't know, I'll harass the crap out of them and try and like what are people with vehicular stalking doing? Like, are they trying to get me out of the city? And I know we know what it is. It's constant stimulation, constant negative stimulation to drive remote neural manipulation and things like that, and then other angles too. But I'm just kind of making a joke there. It's like, what are they trying to just get me out of the city? Because you're gang stalked wherever you go. I'm not sure, De Plume. I want to say California. but I'm not sure. Okay, so let's finish this video, guys.
Pretty against the U.S. government or any government of that sort that has the ability to spy you, for them to actually put the efforts on spying and tracking on you. But what you are true on is that every time you post something, you are under the watchful surveillance eye of a lot of these exist out there. Things like the NSA, things like CIA, things like CSIS in Canada. These people will track you the moment you start doing some really shady shit. But that's all they're going to do. Their online patterns are.
So he's taking out all these contractors under them. If you look at the big contractors, like under the NSA, under the CIA, under all the different arms of the DoD, they're contractors under Northrop and Grumman, Boeing. You guys put some in. Well, other ones I can't. Lockheed Martin is the biggest one, and then they have contractors, third-party contractors under them, and security industry specialists to actually do this targeting on people. So he's taken out all of that, and he's just saying like government surveilling people. He's to make it sound dumb, like a politician's going to have a directed energy weapon and attack you or something like that. It makes it sound ludicrous. It makes exactly what he means, but it's just so insulting the way to describe it. It's insulting.
Physical threat to other people or the government or security, they're going to start targeting you at that point, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I've been on the deep web for like 2 years. A lot of people say touching the deep web once is enough to get you targeted. I've never seen a white van outside my house, okay? There's only one douchebag with a Civic that revs this car really fast. And if the government's sending that to target me, I think Canada as a whole needs to go down at this point, all right? I'm just saying, our government has truly failed my expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, if you feel that you're targeted, and ask yourselves the basic questions. Am I important enough for the government to target me? Have I done something fucked up enough for the government to truly target me? Are these voices in my head really a weapon? Or are they just actual schizophrenia? And should I get help? Because that's really kind of the big reason why I want to make this video in the first place. The people that are involved in doing this, I'm going to say that a good, tiny percentage of them may actually be targeted by their governments. But a good percent of them just need to seek some help. So yes, if you believe that the government is getting every single thing that you do, please seek some help. Get the help that you need, because if you're feeling things like chronic pain, if you're feeling things like voice to skull phenomenon,
that'd be great, man. If I could take a schizophrenia medication, which I have, and this could go away, that'd be awesome. It'd be a lot easier than actually being targeted by remote microwaves and having actual V2K microwave hearing. It goes from my brain, that expands my brain tissue and then goes down to my inner ear. That'd be great. And yeah, I said, well, I know this isn't mental illness, but to satisfy my parents, and it's like a round of Geodon, and then I even did Seroquel and Geodon at the same time. The targeting was the same. The V2K did not change levels. My body got a little bit more relaxed with the Seroquel, but schizophrenia medications do nothing to this targeting because it's actually happening. So it'd be great. It would be great. It'd be great. That'd be an easy, cushy life to have schizophrenia. So I could get a medication that could just correct the chemical imbalance in my brain, and I'd be off and running. Now, he's half right about that, because there are some certain marginalized people who are mentally ill and they're thinking that they are targeted. But I'd say that's a smaller percentage than the people who are actually targeted. So I would disagree with him on that. But just the bottom line, and I'm not saying like anybody in here is that or anything like that, but just the bottom line is that this program and a lot of the things that are false, that are FFs and things like that are deceit upon the people and asymmetrical warfare on the people, they're meant to mix in with things, with other things, right? I'm telling you, and I'm going to find the information on the scientists that got awards for using certain technologies and protocols like CIA protocol to make a normal person look like they're mentally ill. They've been trying to learn how to do this for so long, so they can, and they practice on certain people. Certain people really do want to make them look crazy if they're saying important information and stuff like that. But then in another situation, they're practicing and collecting data, you know? So it's all got to be factored, because it's more complicated than like you're not important enough for the government to spend resources on you or something like that. That is just, that's like a 3-year-old trying to explain like algebra or something like that, when the situation's a lot more complicated. And it's not just the guy, it's the military industrial complex spraying up contractors and things like that, that people weren't let, the public wasn't let, they didn't let the public know that all these Frankenstein monsters in the military industrial complex were forming. They had to keep it a secret to use it on the population. You know, this simplifies it to a point where it's absurd.
That have not been proven at all yet, that don't have a basis to exist.
Oh, what? What did he just say? That's completely infactual. That's complete, that B2K has not been proven yet. They've done demonstrations on it. You have Dr. Robert Duncan, who worked on it for the CIA and worked on it. You have James Giordano, who works for the Pentagon, talking about these technologies. What are you talking about, man? What is this about?
Please seek some help. Get the help that you need, because if you're feeling things like chronic pain, if you're feeling things like voice to sounds that have not been proven at all yet, that don't have a basis to exist.
They haven't been proven at all. Yes, they have. There's so many documentaries on these things. Worked on them. Dr. Martin Lin did demonstrations of voice to skull. Many people have done demonstrations of the technology to skull. Microwave hearing sends a signal to the brain, and then it travels down to your inner ear, or it can be like sonic straight to the ear, like like that, or bone conduction with certain electromagnetic frequencies. These things have been proven. There's patents for voice to skull, you MF. And you're saying these things have no basis to exist. We're gonna, after this, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm gonna get my tooth out and stuff, but I'm just gonna start doing concrete videos on what the contractors say themselves and what the people who've worked on these weapon systems say themselves. And we're, you know, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous that a year ago somebody was saying that these weapons have no basis to exist, when you can go to Lockheed Martin directed energy. You can see their active denial system. You can see they're working with high-powered microwaves and high-powered lasers, right? They're not on their website going to say, yeah, and we're experimenting on people in our country, but no basis to exist. That's crazy. Like, this guy is crazy. Like, this guy is insane. Like, to say something.
You know, they've been given any form of legitimacy, you need to seek some medical attention. And I mean that in the nicest way possible.
No, you don't.
Like I said, I care about a lot of people
no,
out there.
No, and you see, this is where, like, maybe he does think that it's just mental illness or whatever. What he said is that targeting exists, but it's only for really, really bad people. You guys see that? You guys seen what I've said a couple of months ago, kind of formulating where it's like, yeah, bad people get targeted. It's experimentation, so take that out of your head if you are non-TI. People are scared of this topic. They're scared of facing this. Stop, you know, if you're non-TI out there, any non-TI, stop being cowards. Women and children are being tortured to death and electronically raped. We have to stand up and fight against this stuff. Do not enter the system and make a deal with the devil and just worry about yourself. We will lose everything that we are as human beings. Please do this. Like, it's simple. Like our forefathers did it, and we don't have the nuts to do it. We don't have the fucking nuts to do it. There are a bunch of it. Nah, man, I'm sorry about that, guys. Nadia says, we're going to start seeing a lot more of this type of stuff as we get closer to the truth being exposed. It's meant to discredit it all. Yeah, it's meant to buy time for them. They make a video like this, and this guy really skews it and stuff like that, but I don't know if he's doing it purposefully. I don't want to accuse him of being an agent, you know, if he's not. But I don't see how he's this dumb, because he's smart and everything else. Yeah, Nadia passionate about telling people to get help. And so, and he's smiling while he does it. DePlume said here and there, whisper ninja stuff, but his subconscious knows it, which is sad. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, this guy knows. This guy knows. But he's saying it in a specific way so he can stay safe. And maybe he's doing that subconsciously. Maybe he is, like COINTELPRO, to make a video once in a while of what they, I don't know. Didn't get a lot of views. I could have sworn it had 300,000 views, I think 2 weeks ago, and now it's showing 96,000. I could have sworn.
The more and more I look at it in the targeted individuals community, the more and more I realize that people up together and
this needs to be stopped. And like, I know that people are like looking at this whole topic as the targeted individual community. Directed energy weapon systems and neuro weapon systems and directed energy, they can use the electromagnetic fields of the earth to create fire using satellites and certain technologies in the ionosphere, right, or above the ionosphere and satellites. This whole topic of directed energy, about the 5G grid, the 4G grid, 6G and 7G coming up, optogenetics, optogenetics, the use of it needs to be talked about. It's everybody's whittling it down whenever they want to discredit this topic of mind control, neuro weapon systems. They say targeted individual community. You know how small that makes this huge problem? You know how it makes it so people can be like, oh, it's a targeted individual community. Well, that's not a problem for the world. It's a crazy group of targeted individuals, right? Individual community. This is a huge global situation. There's an infrastructure to direct these weapon systems, and they're just scaling it up for everybody. This is a joke that people like him, what they're doing is like, people like him are like, well, I'm safe for now, so I can just do this thing. It's coming for everyone. The top of the pyramid hates the people microwaving me right now. They're going to go after them. All of us under the pyramid, like what Karen was saying, they're inbred, retarded, and they've got weird genetics probably by now. We feel like they're even part of the human race. They hate us all. Like, just trust me. You need to stand up for women and children that are being sacrificed satanically, and women and children that, and this is satanic, but women and children that are being electronically murdered by targeting. This is need to stand up. Non-TI men need to stand up, because we're all getting blasted in microwave, and it's really hard. I'm sure I ask all these, and women, you know, you guys do a ton of work. Like, y'all probably do the most work in the targeted individual community. I'm just saying as a man. I'm saying as a man, there are women and children that are being tortured to death, and no one's helping them. And people, other men and women, are laughing at them. And it's not good for our society. And this is baseline, not making it complicated. Targeting is happening. Yes, there's complications. There are people with mental illnesses or imbalances who think they're individuals. And even coming to the targeted individual groups that we create to get help, it mixes in. It all mixes in. Yes, that is life. That is life. And we need to stop acting like life is this thing that you can just put into a box. He's saying think outside the box. I've never seen somebody go so deep inside the box. Okay, let's just keep playing this.
They start literally saying, you know what? This is very similar to a safe space, okay? You just need to get the truth at some point, all right? Trust me. The government is not this all-seeing.
You need to get the truth at some point because people are dying. People are being tortured and it's not stopping. You need to get the truth at some point. You do. You have it in your head like you're like, oh, these crazy. You need to. You're looking down. You're looking down on people who are being hit with remote microwaves, and you're saying you need to get some help because you're mentally ill and you're feeling superior. I know, man. But it's true. It's really happening. People are getting hit with remote microwaves. They're doing all sorts of experiments to the brain. It's happening. It's happening, and they're making lots of money off of it. They're spending little pennies to do this to people and making tons of money. Integrated neural weapon systems. Integrated. What? This guy acting so wrong. Like he's dead wrong. Dead wrong. It's not a pun. Like he's dead wrong. They will come after you and your family after they kill me and mine. And chat, make no mistake about it. And he's sitting there with a smile on his face, looking down on people who have gone through torture for years and years of their life. I mean, how ridiculous is our society? And this, it's not his fault. It's not his fault unless he's like a COINTELPRO. It is his fault then. But if you're right, the fault is the system. And they're even trying to tangle really smart people's brains up so that they see some people dying and they say, you just need to get help. They've done this massive mind control without microwaves to us for so long in this social engineering, and now it's directly into the brain while torturing people. And it just is true. Even if you don't want to believe it, it is happening. You know, it's saying like people that don't believe, well, he believes in you. This isn't like God because it's not good, but you say, I don't believe in this targeting program. Well, it believes in you because it exists, you know. So he needs to get that. It's so, that is, I can't think of the word, but somebody like looking down on people being tortured to death and going, you need help and I'm superior to you. No, you're just another human that these people up at the top think is cattle, and they're going to use you, and then it's to you, and then you're going to be trying to convince people, and you're going to be coming up against people like you going, you just need to get mental health. We need to change that so that when it happens to you, that you get help. You see?
Knowing God out there. They're literally just a group of people running the country. And some of them, yes, they like to survey on us. They like to combat
new
against
technologies,
key negative elements of society. Are you that negative? Ask yourself that, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow, and look at how he ended it.
Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Just smiling.
If you dislike it, I am out.
Wow, it was such confidence. Ending his video with such confidence with the little I am out. Like he just wrapped it up. And everything he said was wrong. Like everything he said was just completely wrong. Okay, we've been going for like 3 hours. So Amal, you think he's getting paid? Yeah, he's a smart guy, so I have some questions. DePlume says, who is the group of people running the country? He is. I think he was just saying government the whole time. But check this out. I brought some things. I just brought a few things. I could have brought way more evidence, but here is the page for fusion centers right here, and you can look up all the stuff. Building law enforcement. Fusion centers are state-owned and operated centers that serve as focal points in major urban areas for their seat analysis, gathering, and sharing of threat-related information between state, local, tribal, and territorial, federal, and private sectors. The National Network of Fusion Centers, National Network, brings critical context and value to homeland security and law enforcement that no other federal or local organization can replicate. Fusion Centers accomplish this through sharing information, providing partners with unique perspective on threats to their state or locality, and being the primary frontline personnel, state and local leadership, and the rest of Homeland Security enterprise. So the Homeland DHS Fusion Centers will vehicularly stalk you, your neighborhood, to stalk you and do things to you. But then you've got, and I'm just going to, I really if I, I should have prepared this, and everything that he said just brought up proof, but I'm going to make some videos after this. Then you got, is this the one? InfraGard, Partnership for Protection. So, and usually when you read anything from like intelligence agencies or military industrial complex, if it says Partnership for Protection, that means partnership for destruction. If you have some like Department of Defense, that's good. They're going to create wars. If you have like anything that's like about taking care of people, or about killing them, everything, all the names are wrong. All the names are inverted for agencies. I'm trying to think of another. Department of Justice is Department of Injustice, because it goes after people who've done nothing wrong. Puts them on lists and stuff like that. What else? National Security Agency, National Insecurity Agency, because they're trying to destabilize the country. Central Intelligence Agency, just Satan. We'll call Central Intelligence Agency Satan, because that's what they are. So welcome to InfraGard. InfraGard is a partnership between the Federal Bureau of Investigation and members for the protection of U.S. critical infrastructure. Through seamless collaboration, InfraGard connects owners and operators within critical infrastructure to the FBI. And that's the kind of wording they use. They're like protecting critical infrastructure. But what it means is, it means getting a bunch of like people who think that they're spies, and then they drive around people who are innocent and being hit by remote microwaves. So crazy. Will bring no order or safety to society at all. And we've said this millions of times. Protecting critical infrastructure, they're driving people around, somebody being hit with remote microwaves in their brain, like their emotions, amping up rage. They don't want to protect no critical infrastructure. They want people going out and doing violent things, so they can say DHS fusion centers are more needed. These programs where we're surveilling people's brains, they're more needed because people are they're trying to do more and more damage, right? So that they can have more money into these people that are supposed to be protecting us, but they're doing destruction so they can get more money. You see how it goes? And that's the way the whole world's working out. The world's going, well, we're going to do this, but then they're destroying to get more excuse, right? Nobody knows that we did it, so that was an evil that we're going to have to protect you from, but evils that they need, that we need their protection from, right? So 9/11 happens. It's a huge FF. Israel, States, and maybe other people compartmentalized in there or whatever, and then they go, okay, well, something bad happened, and it was those need to do more. The NSA, we need the NSA, and we need to surveil more people and everything. Probably that was a big excuse, and it was a way that some of these contractors got more money to manufacture these weapons and got to go ahead, download, to actually start experimenting on people and looking into people's brains. So they were like, well, in the future, because of terrorism, we're going to need to look into people's brains. So we need trauma-based mind control on people, right? So everything that they're saying, like protecting people, they're not. They're trying to destroy things so they can say, oh, that would, and we had nothing to do with it. Now give us more money so we can protect you. And then they just keep destroying, right? And it's this problem, reaction, solution, where the solution is always about more to the top and more control over the middle class. It's never a solution for the middle class, even the upper class, the lower, middle, or so networking and workshops on emerging technologies and threats. InfraGard's vetted includes business executives, entrepreneurs, lawyers, security personnel, military and government officials, IT professionals, academia, and state and law enforcement, all dedicated to contributing industry-specific insight and advancing national insecurity. It should say national insecurity. Everything they say, they do, it's inversion. It's inversion. It's worse than 1984. So let's see if I can just go to this without having to go back. You got Air Force Research Laboratory right here, Air Force Research Laboratory, and they have more on contracts for human experimentation that I've done videos, but I'm going to bring them back out. But I'll read this. The Air Force Research Laboratory Directed Energy Director is the Department of the Air Force's Center of Expertise for Directed Energy and Optical Technologies. Optical technology, so that would be optogenetic. So optical technologies like lasers and then invisible light. Located at Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico. The directorate develops and transitions technologies in 4 core technical competencies: laser systems, high power electromagnetics, weapons modeling and simulation, and directed energy and electro-optics for space superiority. Like, they're not going to be using that on people's brains. It's just for space. It's just for things. And then here's Dr. Robert Duncan, Lecture 2, Intelligent Systems of Control. He worked on V2K and Chatterbox artificial intelligence. He worked for the CIA on a lot of these weapon systems that are used to torture people. You know, to look into Dr. Robert Duncan, this for non-TIs, and then Dr. James G. Dorno. I haven't seen this one, but this is Dr. James G. Dorno, Battlescape Brain, Military and Intelligence Use of Neurocognitive Science, right? So if there's you know, military intelligence use of neurocognitive science, people saying that their brains are being messed with and they're being hit with remote microwaves, can you put 2 and 2 together and maybe say, oh yeah, they're using neuroscience as a weapon. These people are saying their brains are being messed with, they're being targeted. It must be true. We need to check those claims out. Instead of just claiming mental illness, check it out. Let's all check it out. It's a huge, what we're saying, that we're being tortured to death in our homes. In that is a big what's it called? It's a big accusation, right? It needs to be checked out. And there's more than one person saying it's a big claim, you know, it has to be checked out. But it's like everything is, you know, I guess you got to show physical proof. When they're hitting you with something that you can't see with the naked eye, well, people are getting that physical proof. They're getting it recorded and stuff like that. Nadia says, this will be the type of guy ready to pay $1,000 for a tinfoil hat when he's blindsided and it hits him. Yeah, and I think it's dangerous, because I think there are some men in society, and women too, that they're like, ooh, look at that stupid guy speaking out about this. He's going to get killed. I'm going to go ahead and lie about it or something to stay safe. I'm smart. We have that in our society. Like, and I'm being targeted, so I have no choice. I mean, I get ripped apart for doing these videos, but I still have no choice. It's like this is, people don't understand. Like, you guys understand, this is about humanity. I mean, this is about like people not even being able to have their own brain when they're born. Biometrics in the brain, like, it's wrong. It's wrong. But I feel racism in society, that there will be a lot of men and women in society that may not even participate, but they're like, I'm not going to talk about that because I'm smart. And they'll be so smart until their family's hit with remote microwaves, or they're hooked up to this stuff and they don't know who they are anymore, right? And I'm not saying I don't know who I am anymore, but it's just like it, you know, in the future, it's like they'll be able to do this stuff even faster. I don't know how it's all going to go down. It's so unprecedented. I know that the technology surface because they need the whole population to accept it, right? And I'm going to show you all an article probably tomorrow, maybe, I'm not sure. Taking it slow until I get the tooth taken out, but there's a really important article about CV, people who got CV, and then afterwards that really line up with targeting, you know. And I think we've been saying that for a while. We've been saying that it's like this whole plan, there's a lot of different angles, bioweapons and things like that, but then some people may just be getting targeted, maybe widespread frequencies, or then that can make them flush out toxins and feel sick. Then they diagnose them with CV, and then after this goes away, they keep targeting them, right? That was one of the things that I thought, but we were talking about like why that would be, right? Why that would have shown up. Randall Cochran says, have you seen the 5G beanie caps? I think I'm wearing one. Like, they're all over. Like, lambs.com is advertising them everywhere. New Type says, I will try to save them. I should say, unspeakable things have been inflicted on me and my family, so it'd be difficult to face them and be merciful, but I still need to face God at the end of it all. Yeah, I'd say, you know, let God take care of a lot of that justice, or save your the people who are torturing you or anything like that. I don't know, maybe you weren't talking about this, but thinking about how I thought what I would really focus on, guys, is like helping yourself and your family to get better, helping you guys, right? Real target, and don't worry about them. Like, don't worry about, like, this is what I say about my attack, and I'm a little bit more angry lately. I just still wouldn't, because it would change if I like attacked one, like if I found one of my attackers one day and strangled them to death or something like that, which I'm not going to do. It would change me. Like, it would me have to deal with that, and I don't want to deal with that, right? So you know, I think focusing and loving each other and making each other strong and letting God take care of that, because these people are so empty and they're so gone already. That you don't really need to worry about, like, either or getting like hurting them to get justice, because what I say is, I'm like, I don't care if they die tomorrow or if they live a million years. You know, I'm past that. I want to focus on important stuff. You know, you guys, I get myself, getting them off of me. I say do that, focus on that, getting them off and separated as much as you can. But I think with the kind of good people that I in the target individual community, if you mete out justice, or I mean, not vengeance, because we do need justice. We do need justice, and these people really should be. I mean, they should be executed. Like, after a trial and everything, they should be executed for treason. But you're looking for I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say completely. Targeted individual says, man, they completely isolated me. Yeah, I feel pretty isolated a lot. Charles says, it would feel good though, Kyle. Yeah, not for me. This feels good. Fighting this on my terms. Their game. Fight it, and you need God for that. You need God to figure out how that's going to be. We need off of the earth, you know, but that's never going to happen. I think the best thing we can get is to get away from them and create a society, and then society would create rules for those people. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Alan says he's with Benny 3 weeks ago, and he believes he's been implanted also. Yeah, he's definitely targeted. Yeah, targeted individual. You're not alone. Like, there's so many people experiencing this. There's so many people being hurt by it. It's not a community. It's not a little community. This is worldwide. People worldwide are being tortured and experimented on by remote microwaves, integrated directed energy weapon systems, integrated neuro weapons. Say those two things separately, because an integrated neuro weapon, a neuro weapon can be a directed energy weapon, but a directed energy weapon is a neuro weapon, because you can be hit with a directed energy weapon like on your skin, right? But a neuro weapon affects the brain. It's a directed energy weapon. So that's why I say both of those all the time. All right, guys, we've been going for like 3.5 hours. I wanted to make this like 2 hours, so I got to wrap it up, guys. Let's say a prayer, and then we'll wrap it up. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, in the name of Jesus Christ, dear Lord, please just give strength and healing. Just make power flow through every targeted individual that's watching this video, and every targeted individual in the world tonight. Anybody experiencing tyranny and torture, please open the eyes of smart people that they don't try and like not understand this, but they really look for the truth, because it's time. It's time. The strong people in the world look at what's happening and they deal with it, and they have to. Just please give us miracles. You've given us strength. Please, could you take this from us? Please take this from us. I know it's going to be in your time, God. Please, please let your time be soon and give us just so many miracles. Help us to have strong voices and courage in these dark times. Please help every good man, woman, and child on the earth to gain their path and to do the right things, so that we can have a chance. We can have a chance at stopping, the Satanists from controlling this world. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. DePlume says, blessed are the pure in heart, and may they see God. Amen. Amen. Tanya says, much love, everyone, and all beautiful targeted individuals around the world. Love. Yes. Love you guys. I'll be back. I think maybe I'll do a live stream about the article that they sent me. Try and do it up front, right? I could be doing a lot more if I had energy. Like I could be editing some of the longer live streams, but I don't know my plan. I'm getting so burnt out on the topic. Now that I think that I can get more energy to do more, but we got to do it. We got to put it. We're so close, So I don't know. I'm going to see how this year goes, I think. Do as much as I can this year. Kind of just see. I got to play it by ear. Sorry for picking my nose. I got this is itchy right there. Judge Hugh says, I need more Monster. I'm drinking Nas now. Wait. Sponsored by Nas. It's not. They're not a sponsor, but Nas, call me. Hey, Andrew. Thank you, man. Andrew says, amen. Thank you. Amen. If you find anything to take away the pain, I do know this, and I've experienced this. God will give you the strength to get through. And sometimes it's like you feel like, oh my God, I'm depressed and this sucks, but you're still going. And it doesn't mean that things can't heal and feel better. Don't with how things feel, don't go, it's going to be like this, I'll be like this. Will not be how it always is. My brain can heal. Once your attackers get off you, things can change completely. Or when you're some of the things they're doing. Yeah, Randall Cocker says Monster has the Hebrew letters 666. Yeah, I wonder if I don't have a can right here because I've been drinking Nas, but yeah, it's like I've shown people it's the little hooks. I thought it was like Arabic. Is it Hebrew? It's Hebrew. I thought it was Arabic, but it's definitely hidden there. Tanya says, Kyle, you look so tired. It's coming out, Kyle, yeah. I think it's in my body, this infection for so long, and like learning that it was an infection and not the targeting has got me like, I'm thinking back on what was going on. Oh man. And it's kind of like, I trust God, but I'm like, that's so bad. And then I'm like, oh, well, that's a miracle. I had this infection the whole time. I didn't know. Just like this stuff that happens with this targeting, it's hard to, I want God to me and for people to see miracles in my life and strengthen my life, to strengthen them and for his glory, right? But things are so messed up that I'm just like, when people look at me and just be like, wow, his belief in God isn't helping him at all. But it's not true. Like, it is helping me. What I'm facing and what we're facing is so big. It's just we have bad stuff that happens to us. We have people doing bad stuff to us. Hey, Samuel, I didn't say hi. How are you doing? Yeah, Hebrew. Yeah, Randall Cochran says Hebrew and Arabic are similar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, DePlume says they just try to distract you from the yin and yang. Yeah, pull you this way and pull you that way. Our attackers pull us to extremes. I've been it's like tonight before the live stream, I just felt so tired, and like y'all can tell probably, and because I have a hard time collecting my thoughts, but I can get the information out and stuff like that. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they've done. And then we have to tackle this very, very complicated topic. It is a complicated topic. We can boil it down. I'm gonna do a video on that, how I do that. It's pretty simple, you know. But you gotta compartmentalize that in your head, you know. William says balance is important. You know, I have no balance in my life at all. I'm hoping I can get some more. You know, after I get something kind of fixed. It's like with and it's like a toothache, but a face ache for like a year or two, and it's like you can't focus, and it's like your attackers are using that to do for the remote neural manipulation to be like way stronger. It's just oof. Yeah, DePlume says I just want everybody to get along. I don't think our world's going to be like that for a long time. Like, I don't think there's going to be so the left versus the right and the targets versus the non-targets. We need to come together, but not in a way where it's, but just people. You're a person and I'm a person, and I want to walk in your shoes, empathetic to what you're going through. It's like the whole thing is we got to become a new world order and have no sovereignty of nations, but just people, other people are people, and having empathy is all we have to do to have a one world, and we could have sovereign nations, right? It's not the right way they're doing it. Even can't figure out how to make peace for the world. They're psychopaths who hate us, so they're not going to create peace for our world. They want little chess pieces and robots and stuff that they can control because they're psychos. They don't want humans to live in peace. They will change humans into some toys that they can play with. Seriously. This is serious. Like, I'm not that. I know y'all don't, but I mean, it sounds so crazy, but that's what they want, you know. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna be praying. Well, we get along in our group. I mean, it's a miracle that you know, we can have these live streams and pretty much everybody gets along pretty well in the chats. You know, it's a miracle that I can make thoughts. You know, that's all God. Like when I get on these videos, the stuff that I do get out that's smart, that's all thanks to God. New Type says, "Thank you, Colin. Everyone else, you have no idea how much you've helped me in the world." Thank you, New Type. You help a lot of people. You need to, New Type needs to do something. Like, he's got a channel. Everybody check out New Type's channel. And look, oh man, you gotta do something. You gotta do like a podcast, or you know, where you just talk, where you don't have to get up on camera, and maybe just and don't do a live stream. You don't have to do. I mean, I'm just giving you a suggestion. But where you do like an hour podcast when you're feeling very inspired and what God's putting in your heart, you know, I'm trying to focus on the technical and the spiritual. I know that everybody else is too, but I've kind of like I'm not speaking about the spiritual as much. I guess I do a little bit. I just feel like you'd be really good at having a podcast and comforting people a lot because of connection with God, you know. And I'm connected to God too, but it's like we've all got to kind of wear different hats at different times. I just feel like that'd be awesome. So DePlume says, peace already is. Peace already is. If you remove it on peace, if we could remove the target. All right, guys. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Just stay strong. I'll be putting out a lot of just concrete information and stuff. And I'll talk about that on the next video or live stream. I love you guys. Y'all have a good night and just stay strong. God protect you and God protect your families. If you want to help the channel, paypal.me/Vulcan Wolverine. Love y'all. I'll see you on the next one.